You just saw all of that. You can engage with her. Don't miss out. And of course, remember to use the hashtag PEC Spring. Saga, is it going to be an opportunity for the likes of FaZe, Twisted Minds, those teams that we spoke about so much at the start of PEC Spring? Is it going to be enough for them to be able to keep the momentum going and make it into the top 8? Do you think that they've woken up today?
Yeah, you'd really have to expect so. They're not so much a team that once they have their foot in the door, so to speak, they let that lead slip away from them. It typically, with FaZe, historically has been a case of struggling until the last minute. They make the big resurgence, but if they can do that earlier, if they can shake away the FaZe Sunday memes and start performing a little more consistently, that's always going to be a positive sign, and this is a fantastic start for them.
Right, it is time to jump into our second Miramar game, and I figured out a nickname for Toby. I'm going to call him Tall Kylaris. Does that work, Kylaris?
He's gonna call him what?
Well, considering I'm about 3'4", yes, it does. So that can be it for now.
It doesn't count when everyone is Tall Kylaris.
Yeah, true. I suppose so. All we have to do is once again, when we're at a broadcast, show people my box, my mythical box.
I was gonna say we call James Mr. Two Box Kylaris.
Yeah. It's a rough time being short, but at least I don't suffer on aeroplanes. Anyway, moving on swiftly, we have got ourselves another Miramar on the way. It's a Friday night. I hope you've got some drinks in. I hope you've got some snacks in for the excellent games that we're already witnessing here so far for day number 2. It's a pleasure to have you all here along for the ride as well for PEC Spring. But now let's head into Miramar once again. Our plane path going from east to west. Not affording too many of those teams in the north. Going to be wanting to maybe find a backup or go very far.
Coming into the last game, I said that the very, like brutal plane paths on Miramar were few and far between. This one might be one of them. While it can still get worse than this, as you were saying, even San Martin at this point is a bit of a stretch. So if you are one of those fully committed northern teams, it's pretty difficult to get all the way up there. And the main issue with that, because normally you didn't just go, but Toby, then people just go to their alternate drop spots. If you compare the northern half of this map, even just by named locations, and then the southern half of Miramar, there are so many more looting opportunities on the northern half of Miramar than the southern one. Yes, you have some scattered compounds here and there, but people don't necessarily, especially this early on in the year, know exactly which compound what team is going to take, because that's always a little bit of a gray zone. Okay, I guess you guys go there and here, and there's going to be those moments where they're going to fight for them, whereas up into the north, guys, you go Warshipment, you go Cruz del Valle, you go Torre Armada. Yep. It's much easier up there. Down south, you can get tricked. But having said that, it seems like the teams has yet managed to, or despite that, managed to spread out pretty neatly.
Okay, get away from the islands. All right.
I like this. I like this very much.
Well, the circle's not worked out. Propascaritos. You know, my Spanish is not good, Toby. I know yours is formidable. So what does that mean?
Proscaritos.
Stop Googling it!
I can make things sound Spanish. I never claimed that I could say it. I think it means outlaws.
Okay.
Outlaws. Yep, there you go. I just remembered.
Nice. Well done. Well done.
My high school Spanish classes, they served me well.
Yes.
And you know what else served M-Force well? This circle. Brought to you by Junkyard. It's a good one and a bad one. A good one in terms of we have been there a ton of times, and I feel like it's one of the few circles that we can get over and over and over again, and they're still always pretty entertaining. There are other ones that we get pretty sick and tired of every now and again, but as soon as you bring in that deathly road from El Azahar down towards Hacienda, as soon as you bring in the whole open, like barren hillside around Junkyard itself, you get some pretty fun end games out.
Yeah, definitely so. And I think that when you look at the circle, when you look at the plane path, something that's going to occur here is similar to what you were saying about like compounds, like which compounds are taken by which teams, blah, 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 that stuff. We have
what stuff?
That stuff. Anyway, we have a few teams go in for their backup drop, which means that you're going to have a lot of those channels of rotation where it might get a bit more congested than usual with a question mark, a Zarvam, an MTB, all kind of coming in from that south side, not necessarily looking for a major wide wrap. Maybe Zava might, but even then that would have to be late because there are so many teams that would be north of them on that kind of plane path that was created at the beginning.
Also, this circle in particular, when you're coming in from the south, I mean, from where Clem and after all the rotating out by the eastern shoreline right now, actually all the way over towards Navi, it looks pretty open. It looks pretty accessible, but it's a very steep hillside where you're pretty much forced to rotate into the unknown because you have no way of scouting uphill. That's just how geography works. So there are only even though it's 2 kilometers wide, if not even more than that, there's really only 2 or 3 places teams opt to rotate through. Let's see, kill steal. Oh, you're shooting at Entropic. They tend to turn around and take the fight to you, but at 19 points, 14th place, I'm not sure they're gonna really want to. And no, they're continuing forward. But to go back to my point, it's as you were saying, just to add to the funnel aspect of what you were saying with teams potentially collapsing on one another, it could very well happen this time around for that additional.
Maybe. Nice boy, looking for a shot. GDE guys, you need to hit some shots here. This isn't working out, and especially you know, if you're able to put the boot in against Entropic even further, that would really hamper their plans. I mean, let's be real. For Entropic, obviously the end of 2022 wasn't the most amazing for them, and they really want to hit 2023 running and say, look, we're still an all-elite team coming into 2023, and so far it hasn't hit, but there's still time.
Now, I know that I'm putting way more into this take than what it deserves, because we know Entropic as being a very capable team on multiple aspects of PUBG. But off of what we just saw there, just going back to what we've seen them do in the past, are we seeing a 2023 quiet Entropic? Not saying they're not going to get wins, but the non-flashy way. Because what kind of caught at least my attention with Entropic in the beginning of last year was these guys are loud. You don't shoot at them without getting 5 bullets in return. Here, they don't even go into the... that's a nice shot. They don't even go into the passenger seat to take a few shots back. They just kind of turtle down and try and avoid the confrontation. That is a side of Entropic. And again, could just be, you know, beginning of the year, this specific situation and this specific circle. But that is just not a confrontation avoiding Entropic that I've ever seen.
Sure. I get what you're saying, and I think it's symptomatic of the format at the moment. I think that they're just saying, let's play the averages, let's get as many points, lay low for a little bit during these games and get to the final circles, as opposed to a potential taking that fight. Yeah, we get 4 points, but we lose 1, right? Like, and then it makes it harder for those later circles. So that's kind of what I think, but that is pure speculation. Yeah,
and again, putting much more into it than what it necessarily deserves. But it's always interesting, especially I think at the start of years, to come out with these somewhat theory-crafted ideas that ain't necessarily based on a whole lot other than literally one clip of a team driving past a compound. But fun to see how it then kind of evolves as the year goes on, because Entropic is definitely, to me, one of the teams that over the last 2 years have been through the most changes in terms of how they started out as this unleashed set of hounds that would just jump on everything, to then start to also saying no to some fights, and then now seeing them seemingly say no to a fight they were chosen in the previous year. That could be them stepping even further away from the aggression.
I mean, it's a huge statement to say that they had a budding rivalry with Twisted Minds, right? Mid-2022.
They were up there. They were up there, definitely.
So, well, let's get back on board with what's going on here. Unfortunately for Zarvum, they've already lost a player. So now it's going to be a bit more scrappy for them as they're slowly trying to find themselves a bit of a home in this game. I'm quite surprised that we're seeing so many teams go heavy aggressive center as fast as we have in this lobby, because we saw it halfway through yesterday as well, even some of the earlier games of yesterday. So a very heavy focus on trying to get to as quickly as possible to some central spots.
Exactly. And the issue of it is, at least the way that I read it, there are only so many places these games tend to end. And it's one of those where if you ain't there early, you ain't gonna make top 8. It's it very quickly goes from being openly accessible to great, we didn't get the 2 compounds, now we might as well just hold it 4. It's and people have learned that, players have learned that on these circles, in particular, northeastern ones on Miramar, you have to be there. And if you ain't that fast, you at least have to know the lay of the land, know where teams are, so you can adapt. Whereas if you rotate in late and you just kind of play on the fly, that's how you find yourself in bottom 12 in a game.
Quad 2 was trying to take out Michael, but in the process gets tagged by Rustamar. So Syntax knocks at the moment. Maybe BBL can get even more off the back of this. Smash is in close vicinity to Maud, so he's going to have to take this down. And unfortunately for Syntax, unless Maud does something about Smash's position, I don't know if they're going to get Syntax up for now.
More casualties coming in. Court 2, team that struggled yesterday. Not off to the best start today here either. Michael's still somewhat stuck behind this van, but right now it looks more to be a you're stuck here with me, not the other way around type situation, as he found a knock onto Selpri. More to point to out and help out, but I was just gonna say, Magic sat out there ready and waiting. Easy peasy for him.
Fairlight gets Michael, but like with this kind of fight, especially going on so edge, because we were talking about how many teams were so heavy centering up, I feel like both of these teams, if they've been kind of analyzing what was going on in the first day, as well as maybe even that first game of today as well, shouldn't be too fearful of a third party coming along. This is way out. This is way out. So they can take this fight without impunity and just finish it up.
This is probably the fight for both of these teams in this entire tournament that will have the least consequences on anything. Or like will be impacted by the fewest kind of out of their hands situations. Only thing could be that in 30 seconds, phase 1 blue will hit, but I don't think that's what's going to scare them off.
It's also a fight that kind of means quite a bit on Miramar, because you think about where these teams drop. You've got, as we get nades coming in, and Rustamar finishing off Selpui, and that's it. Okay, so BBL wins this fight. Okay, so let's talk about what. Yeah, let's talk about what this means, right? Because they're technically dropping quite close to each other on that western side of this and this map in general. So when you get these east side circles, chances are they probably run into each other again in next games, in next Miramars, etc. If we get these eastern circles, so winning these fights against a team that is a close by rival is important.
Sure is. Sure is. And now, well, BBL gets to live another day, gets to live another circle, and they have to go east. If BBL has read the book right, which I think they have because they're all very capable players, they rotate in from the north. You have to know, even though you haven't seen any of it in the game so far, let alone the plane path and them jumping out somewhat late, knowing that a lot of teams jumped east, you have to know that there is space to be taken in the north. Because look at the cluster. If we were to split this circle into two halves, we got essentially 3 teams on the northern half, 2 of which are on the very border of the southern, and then we have the remaining 12 down towards the south. I mean, that is a skew that is so offsetting that if BBL don't go north here, I'd do something crazy. I think you'd crazy.
Eat a licorice shoe. That's what you do. But anyway, Melman gets a nade on in there, and for M-Force, this is not going to be easy to clean up at all. Na'Vi is really sticking it to them with multiple headshots coming on in here. Example doing the example PUBG God things, and M-Force is gone like that. That was swift.
Sure was. We'll talk about it more in just a second. Space trying to get the better of Ascent, and well, there you have it. They lose Vex. Not what they would have wanted. They managed to get Gustav back up alive, but Ascent fall right to follow. And this is again one of those situations where, because so many teams are coming into the circle from the exact same direction, there will be overlaps. There overlaps. Look, Rooks, damn, let me finish my sentence before it just take Iceboy out of his vehicle like that.
That was stone cold, that by Lucarux on Ice Boy. Very, very swift in execution. MK12 for QBE, looking to try and get that finish off as he's crawled across the ridge. Now let's take a look at the map here. BBL's coming in where we kind of expected them to. Twisted Minds, a big spread here. Now, after game 1 of Twisted Minds getting the win, has the Leviathan been unleashed? Is this now the confidence that they require? Obviously, they can play even without that confidence, but to be able to start seizing this day, we're going to keep a close eye on Twisted Minds, as they are the absolute biggest contenders when it comes to taking championships in EMEA, and it's not even close if you think about track record, but there are still some that are very powerful.
And while this was just going on, I actually looked back at the map and just kind of rewinded a couple of seconds just to figure out exactly how Ascent and FaZe, because they're all the way, like, FaZe is pretty much down in the blue right now, how they managed to run into each other like this, and it went down to exactly what we were talking about, just rotation timings. They essentially came to the crossroads at the exact same time. Ascent starts firing shots. FaZe, contrary to what we saw with Entropic earlier, were like, you know what, you don't take shots at us and get to live to see another day. They, James, don't have your map open while you're driving, buddy. They just pull up on them, take them out. Yes, they lose one, but get the limbs to follow. Good thing for them is Question Mark was actually in the nearby vicinity too, heard all the commotion, but look where they are now. They said, you know what? Yes, we could take a fight in the blue, potentially get a kill, potentially lose as well. How about if instead we just beeline it north? We know, just as BBL did, there's no one up there. If we claim it now, if the next circle goes there, we're essentially given gut-tier positions off of coming in super late.
Yeah, and it's a minor thing, but normally Ascend will be coming in onto a circle like this behind FaZe, and that conflict wouldn't even occur. But because Ascend was, as we mentioned, in that alternate drop spot, they kind of came in and the conflict occurs. So those alternate drop spots really do put a dampener on things for some teams whilst they're going for these rotations. The Wu is looking to shoot at the engines of FaZe, as well as themselves in those cars. And now the circle's gone slightly west, so gonna need to be tightening up a little bit more. BBL, look at them weaving in and out. Probably gonna get those warehouses.
I like that BBL started rotating when they did. They heard the vehicles from question mark above them, and they knew that if we sat in this valley having to rotate later with Entropic on the southern side, with what they probably soon will find out as question mark to the north, they won't make it out alive. And there's a good chance that question mark will beat them on the run towards the circle. So smart from them to up to wrap south route instead. You can see them here trying to now do some damage in return of that rotation coming through.
Rough spot to have to pick up Clibbin, but I think they should be able to do it if they get car cover on him. And Digital Athletics trying to stem the tide of FaZe now, who want to move north from this position. DA as a whole, a little bit split here, so their firepower will be scattered across these hills as FaZe tries to push up. So they got to be careful with that.
Sure do. BBL, they do get one up. As I say that, Clip falls down again. And Doozy should be able to get the confirm with this nade, but no. The smoke kind of blocking off the angle now, realizing, oh, that's where the view is. Hold off there, Michael. Position has been revealed. Should fall to follow. Indeed, he does. Hopper again. Plenty of damage coming through from him. He was a great impact player yesterday and continues to be so today.
Of course, man. This question mark roster, again, I do feel like they have something to prove even further than they already did at the end of 2022. Here in 2023, might not be under an org, but they are still extremely potent. With guys like Phil First, of course, coming into the roster and just really adding so much extra firepower. Aside from if Aduzi stops hitting his 20 grenades a game because he's a monster. So,
exactly. DA trying to deny any kinds of entry from teams coming in from the south. They've kind of been playing it cautious. Oh no, that would be a good nade. They both took so much damage, and Correx is there to do the damage to follow. Mert goes down. Will Metralius be able to get away? Yes, he will. That nade, I think, I mean, they were a half meter off of both of those two players being blown up in the vehicle.
And it comes back to them being so split from all of this. Unfortunately for MTB, having a little bit of a run-over accident while this is going on in the distance. Metralius, though, actually is completely open to the big flank from Gustav. That really does open things up a little bit. Now, a few peppered shots from the SLR up against that car cover that we're seeing from Iroh. But where is any supporting fire coming in from the left-hand side? Kurexi also getting Iroh himself. So DA is slowly falling apart here, slowly being dismantled. Code Marco's the last one alive. Can he make something happen off the back of this? Because Kurexi's pushing on up inside the blue.
And this is exactly what DA wanted to avoid. They were the ones kind of playing it slow, backpedaling, making their way into the circle. Then they catch teams in the open, and they pounce on it. But little do they know, the rest of Baseline is just around the corner, ready to help out as well. While they might get him there, yes, they will. Marco able to take him down. Damage has been done. DA down to 2, now having to rotate into the open, up towards the north. Yes, they stay alive here, but I'd be surprised if they get a lot more going this game than what they're left with after that fight.
Yeah, great stuff from Code Marco to make sure that that salvage can occur. Really, really well done by him. And DA will live to fight another day. Only with 2, mind you. But there's still some wiggle room for them to be able to get towards this circle if they can navigate around Na'Vi. As we now see on the east side, Sarvam trying to scout things out using vehicle. Twisted Mind sees them though, and Batulin acts as the anchor for Twisted Minds to get into the rest of the circle. And here comes MTB on a bit of a ball on through. Where will they go?
4 people in a Murado crashing circles. What could possibly go wrong?
I don't like it.
That's one. I mean, and they flipped the vehicle as well. Yeah.
Any more for any more?
I don't think they're turning back for him. I think that's one of those.
No.
Well, you didn't hold on. The training stuff for you, buddy.
It's Ventropic.
The train ends one place, and that's in hell. Because here comes the vehicle up over the ridgeline. They go, get out there, spread out as fast as you can. Lurkrooks is there, but he's looking the other way, trying to make a run for the compound, but realizing it too late that they were already on the ridgeline. He looked back initially. I thought he was going to stick to it, but tried to make a run, but too slow at that.
A little cheeky underhand attempt, but it goes a little too far there, and MTB's too wise for that one. And QB and the other members of Entropic weren't able to provide ample support. Fire! But that comes a bombardment in from Naileup. One is able to connect already on MTB, and they scatter to try and salvage, try and keep themselves alive off the back of it.
Just as we've seen it in the past, fight in the open and other teams will engage. Smash Rush them up both here to try and punish MTB and Entropic, for that matter, for taking too long to finish this fight. One elimination goes in favor of BBL. Ivers finds the second. Just like that, MTB, off of a very, very optimistic set towards the center, pays the price.
There was a moment where I was surprised BBL isn't exactly going a bit more gun-ho on that, but at the same time, if they did, they'd be open to all the lines of sight from teams, so I get it. More nades onto Twisted Minds now. They, unfortunately, kind of almost got leapfrogged a little bit by Sarvam. It's not necessarily that they're ahead of them, it's just the fact that they had decent angles, did Sarvam on Twisted Minds for a moment, apart from CCNX, who's moving along with the car here. I like that he was trying to use this for cover, but now Spiro's going to peek on over. Almost had an angle on him, has a few grenades, though. This could end in disaster.
It's such a weird angle to try and aggress, but somehow, Global Army peeks over, finds one, CC finds the other. And Twisted Minds batted like flies. They had the upper hand, they had the high ground and superior position, but they were dealt with. Pubg Esports now, in the meantime, trying to hold off against After All. The Svart finds one. Falco finds one in return. 8C has fallen as well. Shotguns galore. And with the sawn off, takes down one. It's just Vard trying to hold the fort from inside. And that's not going to happen either.
Take him out. Take him out after ult here. Once again, on the warpath. Ayin, an absolute battle tank, is able to get things done here alongside Klim. So, how much more can After Ult do? That's a good situation for them. They'll probably want to slow down Sarvam to their northeast if they want to transition up this hill down the line.
Look at Eski. Can you find him? I can't.
He's like John
I
Cena.
don't know where he is. I don't know where he is.
I can't see him at all.
Can't see him at all. Navi, in the meantime, those who can see, because they're on a very open hillside, scouting their way forward. Not sure if they're aware that who is sat right below them, but one thing for sure, they will be hearing the utility used up here on the top of the hill, so maybe they'll turn around and go for this fight instead.
Moving on back is Phil first. Vixen. I had something stuck in my throat there for a second.
I thought
I'm good.
For a second. No, it's good.
Oh, no. I baited you. I'm so sorry. You take it away. I'm dying.
Don't die. I was just going to say, don't die on me in the meantime. Well, who dies on Melman? That's for sure. Navi able to get kill number 10 in this one. Melman, 6 of those to his name, continuing right where he leaves off after one battle. Instantly looks down towards After All. They know they're coming up with the hillside. They know they have to make their way further north. And now, Navi sprinting forward, not wanting After All to kind of wrap it in front of them. I love this active play by Navi, knowing that if After All gets to set a perimeter that they will have to try and break through, it could be the death of them. Instead, no, look at this. They push up with 2. They kind of set the anchor, and they say, After All, well, you can come to us and take the fight, but we're ready. And After All, well, run back.
And there's a potential for a huge game here for Navi. They're already on 10. Yeah. Melman, the fragger of the team, is on 6 right now. So they are in a prime position here to get even more. I mean, admittedly, when they move, the further they move north, there is hills to traverse, and that can get a little bit precarious. But yeah, really good stuff from Navi so far.
Indeed. They ain't done yet, though. The issue is for now, as long as you can see it kind of perfectly lined out here. GDE are containing, or as best as they can, with just 2 alive.
Esqui got 2.
Esqui finds the first, finds the second as well. While we're on the map here.
Oh my god!
The sneaky snake in the grass. Bites, finds the double, won't live to see another day, but that doesn't matter because he got placement points and 2 kills. And just like that, the big old game for Navi, while it still will be a good game, with all the kills they've got so far, well, it might just end here.
I shouldn't have opened my stupid, gorgeous mouth. That was, I'm so sorry, Navi, but there you go. They are still 2 alive, so they've still got some hopes, but...
1 alive.
Okay, well, you know
Stop
what?
talking, James, you're killing Navi.
All right, I'll stum. You keep going.
You can join, but I don't think there's a whole lot more to be said with the Na'Vi roster, at least not this time around. Question mark, knowing exactly where they are, utility being spent, and there you have it. Once again, the vehicle explosion from far off, set off by a doozy. Na'Vi out in 5th place, but again, 11 kills coming into this one. They will be well happy with the points coming through, but as you said too, James, probably hoping for even more in this game.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, if you don't have the snake in the grass of Esqui, then you are hoping for a whole lot more there, but it's not to be. Here comes question mark. Throwing fists, Hobbits is. Throwing hands, because he's looking for a fight. And I don't know where he's going to find one. I think that they'll try and look across the ravine towards GDE, as well as After All. I don't think they're paying too much attention to Entropic just yet, because they know that they're eventually going to have to come out of those buildings, but there's no real incentive for them to just yet.
And one thing that we can now bring back to the attention of our dear viewers is what we talked about earlier. When FaZe and Ascent fought outside the circle and question mark had a chance to third party it, they fought further ahead. They said, yes, we can fight this, with a chance of it going who knows how. But one thing's for sure, if we just go north and go to the west now, we get a spot in the next circle. We'll have to fight 1, maybe 2 teams, but it's better than have to brawl our way through 8 teams on the southern side. They got up there, they're in a good position now, they've taken minimal damage, and are now sat in the best spot in the circle because they opted to rotate out rather than take the fight.
Yeah, definitely. And I like this little move forwards by a doozy as well, just to be able to kind of act as that linchpin and bring especially like first contact if anybody's going to be a little bit more eager going across. QBE gets Vixen. That was quick. And alongside nail up spray, of course, I think it was double contributions coming in there.
Blink and you miss it. That's just how it is with some of these players and names they've got themselves. Sam also doesn't really have a whole lot to work with now. With After All pushing up from behind, I think he's better off I was just going to say, trying to run off and make yourself as small as you possibly can. Vixen ain't going to get back on his feet. Should hear the footstep of After All as well.
I think because, you know, I was talking about them fighting across a ravine for question mark. I think they've completely understood where every team is in this circle right now. Not in terms of like pinpoint precision location, but general direction location. They know everybody now is either was in those compounds, but Entropic's moved, or in the east side. So they've flexed out, they've created themselves a strong barrier and are effectively corralling their opponents into one another. Not by too much force by any means, but After All peeks across, sees question marks like, maybe I don't want to be taking that. Let's wrap around the north and see what's going on. That's going to force an engagement here from Entropic as well as After All, and then, yeah, a destruction.
Exactly. After All wanting to deal with GDE as fast as they can, because once that player is down, a little more breathing room, a little bit easier passage towards the circle, because with all the time they're spending not taking him out, look at question mark, slowly wrapping around, slowly claiming more of this circle.
And Entropic knew that the potential for the fight within AA was going to go down, so they've abandoned that and moved back to the buildings where I felt like they really had no huge need to move away from in the first place, but they did try, and now it's back to stalemates as question marks controlling, I would say, most lines of sight in this circle at the moment, whilst the other 2 teams are bottled up.
It's actually kind of interesting when you think about it. Entropic, not much of a factor in this sense, but After All, the first team to get to this area of the map. All they really had to do in order to secure a lot of the space that they have now was to hold out against the push coming in from Pubg Esports earlier. They succeeded. They kept all 4 alive. They lived to see another day. They were here early. Then you have question mark, who has had to kind of push their way in from the west, literally the last team to enter the circle from that west side earlier. Now, 2 of the final 3 teams in this one. And supposedly, one of them will be the victor here, unless if somehow Entropic can pull off some magic while only 2 alive. It's one of those teams similar to your good old Tornado Energy when they were not Na'Vi. Yeah, they're only 2 alive. It's as if whenever you forget them, when you least expect them to go out and do something, that's when they pull off their highlight-worthy moments. So don't count out Nailed and QBE just yet.
I'm wondering how much information After All has regarding... This is interesting. Regarding where the 3-man was of question mark. Obviously, they knew where Hobbits was, as Dante's taken the middle spot now. And, you know, let's just have a communal chill. Just a little sunbathe, I suppose.
What do they do?
Trading?
I've heard of not scouting too much, but this is like intentional
get it.
passiveness.
You have to move.
I'm. Come on, Naylor, please have a nade. If only you knew what we know.
I think they're starved out of utility by this point, right? 2 alive and probably not getting many kills at the end.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Just try. Wait. What? There's no. What?
No. Wait a minute. Interesting.
That is not the word I would use.
I'm intrigued. So yes, it is the word I would use.
Question mark is sat one spot above them on the overall leaderboards.
Yes.
I get the idea that you don't want to feed points unnecessarily to the teams you're trying to catch up to. But still plenty of games to play. Entropic is miles down the leaderboard. If you're only fighting the other teams that are currently ahead of you, that ain't really much of a threat. I'll let Question Mark get the final kill here as time runs out, because we need to talk about this for a second, James. I get the idea, and congrats to Question Mark for the win. Congrats on the win. But while I get the general idea of it, there are so many, in my opinion, much better reasons to go for the fights there than none. Final game of the series, everything on the line, fair enough. Call it a day. This situation, that is... there are so many words I could use that I don't want to, but that was in my opinion, bad play.
The only thing that I can theorize at this moment in time, whilst I'm being told to go for a break, but I'm not doing it, I'm sorry.
We'll control the show now.
Is they understand that Entropic is a team that could blast during this day. And any way in which they could potentially, I mean, technically, it could have been Entropic that got 1 or 2 of those off the back of it being Question Mark as well, but yeah, it's let's see
where I sometimes forget there's an analyst desk too, and they should be the ones to talk about this, because I want to talk about it, but let's give it to them instead.
All right, break time. Let's go to them. I'm sure they love that moment to talk about it and see how everything went down here for game number 2 of the day.
Get a car, first car. Come in your house, Fad. They're on the backside, baby.
2 knocked. I'm nading.
Nading outside. Util, just spam util. One active.
Any ideas?
I don't know. I'm just nading the back out of the wall.
Kylaris and Toby wanted to start breaking it down. They handed over to the analyst desk, and of course, we need to discuss WTF. What was After Alt doing, Avenger?
Yeah, that's the question, right? They're obviously denying, but for the reason of hoping Entropic not to make a mega comeback today. Yeah, I think that's the reason. But that's crazy. It's rare you see a 3-man deny of points for a team that only has 2 up. They obviously had some information that Entropic had lost some players. So, but also Eski here being able to take 2 Na'Vi members down, that I actually really ruined the game for Na'Vi as well. Even though they are 100% guaranteed to go through, then yeah, it's also kind of unfortunate for Na'Vi to be destroyed like that there in a little man in a bush, of course, there for Eski. I love it. He was able to sneak and kind of crumble through just under one bush, and he was practically invisible at that point.
I mean, Saga, After Alt, was it maybe just a panic call? I'm going back to it because I'm still shocked that it happened. It's so early in the day. It's the second game. 3-man denial. I mean, was it maybe just a panic call? Maybe just a moment of like just a bad life choice? I'm trying to figure it out.
I don't think it was panic. They definitely had a lot of time to talk about it while they were all just having that little congregation in the dip. And it seemed like the team call was...
deny.
We will take the tactical deny, the coward's way out. And it is a little baffling, but realistically, I mean, they could have picked up an extra couple of points, maybe if they'd outlasted Entropic, got an extra couple of kills. But as it currently stands, they are far enough away from the top 8 that you could maybe argue, if it was a team like the Wu, if it was a team like Twisted Minds that were so close to the precipice, it would make a lot of sense. But in this one, you know, they had quite a few smokes. They still had some utility left. They could have maybe stolen away 1 or 2 additional points. In the end, I don't think it's going to have that much of an impact, but it's definitely a play that leaves you quoting a great man called Toby, who said something along the lines of, what? And that's really all you can kind of say about the play in the end. It is a bit of a head scratcher.
I'm completely baffled. This is the scoreboard now. Still makes no sense to me.
Ooh.
Na'Vi, despite going out, I mean, they got the points in there. They're looking very good, Avenger.
Yeah, Na'Vi, they're laughing all the way to the grand final. So is question mark now after this one here. They're going to be sitting in 73 points as well, I believe it's going to be. So they're happy times. Also, a lot of people obviously expected them to do that well after what we've seen from them last year, and also in some of the scrims throughout. They've been playing quite well, and also what we saw in the qualifiers. Obviously, they were able to play super well in the round of 16. So now it's just down to who else is going to be able to make it. Now we're seeing a little bit of a kind of a opening in between the bottom 2, bottom 3 teams. That has a lot of 3, maybe 4 teams that could be fighting for that 8th place, or even more. Actually, could be like 8 teams fighting for the bottom 2, bottom 3 teams, depending on what FaZe Clan and Digitaletics they do. Here we see the total 52. Yeah, so it's super open. After all, with 60, so I would say at this point it's highly unlikely that they're gonna be going out. Like they need super low amount of points for the rest of the day to just secure themselves. So basically on 52 all the way down to Ascend on 36 is something that's super interesting, I would say.
I want to say that we should keep an eye on After Alt, and, you know, maybe at the end of the day it was a big brain strategy, but then I'm like, no, it was just dumb. I don't know why they did it. They could have got themselves more points. But right now, and you go, Avenger.
Yeah, I actually, so the thing that could have happened is obviously for them to go full on with question mark, take the fight, and they would have hurt both of them, and then Entropic would have been able to go out and kind of clear it up, get the couple of kills that would potentially be left. Let's just say it's 2 kills, plus the potential that they would have gotten the 4 more points from second place to first, right? So that's a total of 6 more points that they've gotten. So let's just say if After All did that and Entropic won the game, let's just say the Entropic would have had 6 or 7 more points in that. That's the worst case scenario for After All, right? So at the end of the day, let's see if Entropic is going to be missing, you know, 5 or 6 points, because that's the worst kind of scenario that could have happened for After All in that game if they didn't deny.
I'm always curious because when I speak to players, especially the top players, they always talk about how they try not to actually think about that leaderboard until maybe the last game, and they just focus on their game.
Right.
Maybe they've been lying to me all along. Maybe everyone's been thinking about these strategies. I'm just actually, I have to stop talking because I don't have anything else to say. I'm so shocked by this. I just want to speak to someone from After Alt. I wish we could just pull them out and have a conversation, but we can't. So instead, we'll leave you with Kylaris and Toby.
That we will, an explosive end to that game, and not exactly what we were expecting, but explosive nonetheless, and sure to create conversation here across the PUBG Esports universe for now. But we do have one more Miramar remaining here, Toby. Divided opinions. We, the whole time we've been listening to these guys, have also been debating it, because I think we also sit on opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to our opinions regarding this. But one more game of Miramar for these guys to gain some points here, mate.
Yeah, and for After All, I mean, regardless of whether they concede the one the way they did now, or they tried to go for it, they are now sitting very well in terms of, again, should the cutoff, if Martin's math is correct, be around those 60, 70 points, it's 10 points in 4 games. If you can't do that, then, well, you're not going to qualify. There's many other ways I could put that, but then you're not... I feel like if you can't get 10 points in 4 games, then you probably don't deserve to qualify anyway, so...
Yeah, sure, at this point, sure. But so far, they've been keeping their averages up very stably here. So let's see how it all plays out for now. This has been, again, though, another nice boatload of points coming in for question mark, really starting to solidify themselves. Let's get this plane going. It's the final Miramar here for the upper bracket, and we have a plane which will make it difficult once again for those Northwest teams to be able to stretch out.
We start with the easy peasy one in game 1, and then the 2 games to follow, while, again, not atrocious. They do present themselves with some forced alternate drop spots, that's for sure. This one will definitely do so as well. And of course, as people may or may not know, and some still claim that it's just conspiracy theories, I will still go out on a limb and say that the esports circles have to touch the plane pad. It can be the very edge of the circle one, but still, they do. And because of this, everyone now knows this game ain't gonna end El Pozo. It ain't gonna end La Cobraria. And therefore, teams don't even care to go back to those spots, even if that's their usual loot spots, because they know that if we just stick around here, we're probably within a kilometer of 2 of the circle's edge anyway.
Yeah. Oi, get
the island.
Get away from the island. Stop it. These guys, honestly, they love it. Go back to some fish or something, you know? I like seeing fish. But we have a few teams already. Backup drops again, but similar to our previous plane, it's the same teams that's a chicken, not a fish. Guys,
depends
zoology.
On how you look at it.
Wait, that circle looks familiar.
Yeah, I think we've been here before, James. Take me through everything that we just talked about last game.
All right, those teams with the backup drop. No, you know what we said in the previous one. So let's see how they're going to fare. After Alt actually pushed out of Impala once again. Is a big point here for a circle like this. They already took their cars and moseying on up there, so they'll have just a little less loot than normal, I would say, I suppose, coming into the next moments.
Yeah, but in this circle, I don't think they care. Quite the contrary. They're oh, we're one step closer to where we were last game, where we almost won the game. But I mean, I don't think they mind. Not with this circle whatsoever. And to very briefly now, we broke it down to more of an extent in the previous one. To very briefly present you with what the issue of this circle can be is actually kind of what we're seeing right here. The hillside that starts, if you kind of go the full line west to east, between La Bandida and Minas Generales, and goes all the way out to the east where Hibaco is currently looting, that whole ridge line makes it impossible for any team coming from the south, which right now is over half the teams, to scout up on the north side. So the funny situations always present themselves where these circles then hard shift north. Because the issue is, you don't want to go north early because you can't scout nothing. You want to stay south because that's the open terrain. That's where you have the compounds, where if the circles go here, it's great. So you kind of commit to the south early, knowing that if it goes north, you have nothing scouted. You have got 0 info to go off of. Whereas when the circles go north into south, you can't really do anything because those compounds are taken by, 3, maybe 4 teams, and then everything's on lockdown. So teams commit early, but knowing that if the circles go north, it's very hard, if not impossible, to know what you're running into.
I suppose it especially gets even scarier in the center of the circle if teams do really wide splits, and then from there you're either crashing into a compound with 1 or 2 people in after not having much information on that scouting, or maybe even 3 people in a certain building, and how are you going to fare against that? And maybe you're losing people as you're making these crashes happen. But one thing's for sure, in a circle like this, a lot of the priority spots get taken up swiftly I mean, you're already seeing Quizzy, for example, taking a nice spot. MTB's already on the move. They're going to be looking for some good spots as well. I won't be surprised if they just take this compound in the middle of the field for now.
Nah, it's it has, at least in the past, had a certain magnetism to it when it came to circles headed down in this direction anyway, that they would end in or around this compound. So it makes sense that this is, if not necessarily where they kind of commit everyone, then that at least this is going to be their base of operations, so to speak.
I think they were looking to scout this out as well for maybe a 2-2, but I mean, shots were already going on Bestelot, and they're going to have to turn on around here, go back, I think, because not much, unless you want to do a flip on the ramp, but probably not.
It's as if all these jumps and loops and whatnot have just been added as a big red button that says, do not press this. And they know not to do it, but we're always kind of hoping that they will, just for the fun moments that it will create.
Yeah, you'd have to become a firefighter. And I mean, it's difficult, really, because for all of these guys, as actually they are moving forwards into a potential engagement here with the Woo. I'm surprised that they got right up close to them. Huh.
But there's still 2-2 split, Medibay. You heard that. What?
Help!
Get
panic!
Back. Go away! You have a compound. You're only 2. Don't do this. I don't know who's giving comms right now telling you to do this, but please don't. Thank you.
Okay, crisis averted. The alarm sounded, and we were like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Maybe just put the fear of God in there for Woo for the moment. But I mean, they're probably not that scared either. The best bit about this is, as well, is that the Woo knew that they were not going to be pushing up because they saw the other people in the compound prior. So, yeah, they were like, okay, if you want to do it, do it.
Yep, exactly. Like we're waiting. Oh, you're trying to give us some free kills, and we'll take them. And then, good thing for MTB, they thought better of it. They went back and still actually have a pretty decent 2-2 split. So no reason to risk everything in the first 5 minutes of a game if you can not and still have a pretty good position to play from.
Okay, where's DA found themselves? They are up towards Entropic. Kind of close, but not too much beyond that. We're seeing, again, the usual suspects coming in very late. Ascend is very far down there towards Valdemar. FaZe is just chilling, waiting for Ascend again on that road camp.
Yep. And it's kind of interesting because we saw them try and do it against Ascend on Erangel as well. Oh, no, wait. No, it's true. They were trying to do it on Erangel. They've tried to do it once before over towards Montenuevo as well. So there's clearly some early in the season trying to outbrain one another attempts going on here. And I actually kind of like it. And I really respect it too in the sense that FaZe know they ain't going to be the first to the circle anyway. So everything that would be center is already taken. So whether they come in, well, now or 3 minutes from now, it's the same compounds that are available. The people that are ahead of them are probably sat in the same positions anyway, so it's not like a whole lot will change from here to then. So might as well sit around and wait things out. But you can see it's as if Ascent, like the spider senses are tingling. They're anticipating something's gonna happen up ahead. And oh, Mika, dum 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 dum. James, want to take over from here?
I mean, they tried it once. It didn't work out. They went elsewhere.
He's
super dead.
He's not been hit yet. There's no way.
What?
There's no way. Now he's turning around. He's just playing with them. He's taken pretty much no.
I think he spun, no? A little.
Where's the Benny Hill team when they need it? And then it's Brex that goes down. Great.
Here comes Chris. Slowly. Okay, now he stopped.
How? They hit him twice. There must have been at least like 120 bullets fired at that vehicle.
I don't know how you pulled the Neo whilst also driving a car, but yeah, he did.
The whole car dodged the bullet. It wasn't even smoking.
Yeah. That's some like other dimension stuff right there. That was wild. But I mean, they got one, which was Prexco up on the hill of all places.
It wasn't even the one they were going for.
Yeah.
That's just unfair.
Ta-da.
Yeah, that's just unfair.
I mean, FaZe is slowly driving and actually like still trading a few shots here and there against them. But Ascend might be better to just go wide and ignore this. FaZe is bailing though now. So they've got what they needed. They've put a bit of a stunt on the growth of Ascend in this game, which is enough as shots still continue to come from Chris and Micah.
And it's, again, I mean, with a long season ahead of us, it's very early that FaZe start the mental games, because they really only have to do it. I mean, they tried to do it yesterday without really seeing Ascent anywhere, and they're doing it again today. That's, to me, the only time they have to do it for Ascent now to always have to second guess any rotation they make coming in late behind FaZe Clan.
Baron Peak doing his namesake proud. And not being able to hit too much, of course, but they're quite far away. Just having a little look around at the moment. Zarvum's got a lot of hill controlled here down in the south of the circle, but again, being that close to the edge means that we're less likely for them to be able to take a circle here or there. And Hibako just going to be driving on away from BBL, who are also quite spread across the north side of the circle here. Just waiting for the next shift to come in for these teams.
Well, Sam Olsen trying to scout on forward. Doesn't really see a whole lot other than when ants essentially at a far distance, but that's what this position gives you. Ain't necessarily a lot of kills, but a hell of a lot of information to go off of. And now, well, further towards the north we go, similar terrain to the previous game here, James, but further towards the west this time around, allowing for more teams to make the transition on through from there. Because again, similar to last game, look at how many teams are coming in from the south.
And I think Ascend will have a slightly easier entry than FaZe here, given the scenario that they'd previously played out. FaZe is just going to ram past DA and eventually get themselves a little bit of a spot, probably enter Minas Generalis and try and take some of the buildings there for the moment, which will provide them quite a bit of cover and a little bit of leeway for the next 7 minutes or so. But beyond that, we will see how everything else is going to play, because already some of that top of Minas Generalis is already being taken. Sen's going wide, and Navi's about to run into Entropic.
Sure, look at the cluster of teams coming in from the south here. Example, barely even getting out of the vehicle before he's almost blown up. He's finding himself just with Uber to play with. Two of the Melman Alia still not arrived yet, wanting to get around the corner, but Quizzy of all players from afar able to help out. One more goes down, that's QP, but instantly after Ivers turns around, takes down both Uber and Example. And okay, Navi is actually pulling up on this. I thought they weren't going to, considering how far apart they were, but now they are, but to their own death.
And not exactly the best of approaches there, as Entropic comes around the corner instantaneously against it. Now a big heal up here for Ivers. Finds him though, and that is unfortunate timing there for Ivers. Alia pouncing on the opportunity and actually finishes it all off. Entropic goes down in 16th. It's a disaster once again for the boys in green.
Here they come. Wu have seen this. They know there are 3 down Navi players here for their taking. This should be points galore. And Nixie, well, I was gonna say I like the fact that it takes him out, but Ivers gets all the kills off of that. Maybe if they're trying to dodge and weave and find the knock players instead, some more points could have been given to them. But I think, let alone the fact that they eliminate Navi, that's while it might only grant them 1 point, they get a spot in the circle, plenty of loot to work with, and a point with it too.
Considering they're eliminated, best case scenario for Entropic, right? The fact that none of them were stolen, they'd rather completely end the threat instantly. The Wu. And now they've seized themselves an okay spot. They could head back up the hills again and have better coverage across a lot of this. But at least at this point, they'd be denying the potential for Zarvum and Quad 2 to be able to try and rotate west. So just have this full control here. And then there on out. Wait, DA, look how far they are on the west side. That is very far.
They went for rotation. On top of the rotation, and somehow now we're beaten by Ascent, who were the further south team not too long ago. But DA, still in San Martin, not in a hurry. They can do both. DA, as an org, they have always been the team we knew to just full speed center with very little care for what's going to happen. And now they have become the we tank blue harder than TSM did in 2017.
There you are. It's rotations all the way down. And DA is at the very bottom of the pile here for the moment. They'll come in later. There is room to play, though. Let's see where the circle goes. I mean, they can even make their decision to go north or south now. And it will be that south probably that they're going to try, because the north is going to be super congested. I think entering via Minas Generalis might be one of their best options, but even that distance between Minas Generalis buildings and then where the Wu is quite open, so that'll be rough as well.
And also they have zero info to go off of, and Gustav and pretty much, well, the entirety of FaZe, with the exception of Corexi, set up on the hills here, ready to shoot us them as soon as they make their way up that hillside. So I think for DA, while the southern play would, in theory, maybe grant them access to this circle, trying to look ahead, as you were saying too, well, then you're in Minas, but you still have to leave.
Yep.
So, where are you going?
Whole cluster in the middle of this map as well now as MTB runs up against M-Force. M-Force has already taken out Nailcop. How much more can MTB get off the back of this? It's only Metabay and PTR can. Metabay opens it up here against M-Force. Dogs is down. Will there be more?
Better get more. A 0-point game here isn't what they would have wanted. 62 points already, of course, is a pretty nifty sum. Taking, or assuming that they will only need to reach around 70 in order to make their way further forward, but they would want to get more out of this. Caught with a nade in hand, though not more can be done. And MTB out of game number 9.
Big shotgun to the face. So unfortunate for them. Meanwhile, in the distance, James going up against GDE. Sam Olsen gets actually stolen by Batulins, but Michael and BBL, okay, so it's going to be a bloodbath here from here on out, because in the north, in all those hills, there's going to be a lot of teams looking your way. Michael taken out alongside Smash Spiro.
BBL trying to prevent one from crossing over. Twisted Minds came in late on this one. They hope they will be able to maybe pull up on a fight somewhere within reach, but this ridge line alone for BBL is just, I mean, allowing them to kind of funnel the opponents towards him and then take him out without Luke being able to do anything from the other side. So great positioning from BBL, great understanding of the terrain. They've pretty much dismantled or at least spread out Twisted Minds to as much of an extent as they could hope for. Now, though, Ascent pulling up, BBL has to be ready for this one too.
And then after all, taking a big fight against GDE, who instantly get melted by After All, and they'll have to re-divert their attention away. Michael sees Ascend on the movement from the north of all directions. They love their wide wraps, and I love them for it. It's one of my favorite strats to employ in PUBG Esports, because assessing where the best entry point is a strategical hive of usefulness. They found themselves a spot.
There has been a lot of Ascent, let's play edge as long as we can, and then eventually just beeline it towards the middle of the circle. Plays happening both yesterday and today, some of which have paid off, some of which haven't. We saw it yesterday on the Severny game too, and now, well, it's a Junkyard game last game, or Circle brought to you by Junkyard. This time around, it could not be more Junkyard. It really is going right in there, and M-Force, having claimed the compound in the middle, going to be very happy with the circle ship.
Yes, they are. And actually, you know what? Ascend might also be able to find themselves just a great little spot here to play from. It really depends on how much collapsing goes from the northwest side, north side from BBL as well. But for now, after all, they've created controversy here in the conversations. But regardless of that, 61 points to their name right now, still 4 alive. We'll be able to take the fight here to DA. That they are more than capable of defeating in a straight-up firefight. So let's see how that goes.
Let's see if it works out for them, and also if they have kind of accounted for all the other variables that could come into play here. We still have Twisted Minds down below. We have a FaZe Clan on the hillside to the southwest. Plenty of third-party opponents that could easily impact this fight. As I say that, though, Vex falls, so at least that's FaZe kind of pacified for a little while.
Looking for a shot, slow and steady for the moment. A jump gives him easy shots. Once you jump, you know your opponent knows how you're going to be falling, and that is the perfect opportunity to strike there for Marco. Now moving up on this left-hand side, an M24 also blasting GTE from Ira. Wait, that is an arm. Never mind.
Yep. Gotta know the green machine when you see it. And here comes Eden. Nope, he doesn't. Try to peek on over the rock, but Marco, again, great off-angle position. They're really dismantling after all, and now is where FaZe is starting to kind of infiltrate this fight. Same thing happening for Twisted Mind on the other side. Both opting for that third-party opportunity. And I think Matt now realizing this, having to back off. But look at this, he's going to run straight into Batulins.
Batulins has got reinforcements coming from down the side of the cliff as well, but they're going to get completely sandwiched. BBL is definitely looking to dislodge them, take out this threat, and be able to move on forwards beyond this. Clib, is he going to higher ground here? Rex takes out Metralis with the SLR. FaZe is destroying DA on the other side of this, but this is BBL now, realizing contact's been made against Twisted Minds, trying to peek over this ridge line.
And DA ain't quite done for yet, while having taken 2 casualties. They're doing what they can with what they're up against, but once again, too many opponents around them to really be able to claim a whole lot here. Marco wants to confirm one, maybe actually goes off of it, goes for the second, finds him as well. Twisted Minds in trouble now as Goat Marco, while only being a solo left alive, doing a ton of damage, and that is Twisted Minds out of this one. Marco finds his kill number 5 as BBL stays alive with 3.
Yesterday, Iro had a lot of kills for Digital Athletics, but Marco is just absolutely clutch. He plays a blinder when it comes to situations where his back is up against the wall. We saw it against FaZe in the previous game, and now he's been able to salvage a little bit for his team. Look at that. How has Ascend got into Junkyard?
They pretty much have the best position of being the one team that was the furthest from, well, anything long ago.
All right for them. I do like it. I like the fact that they're able to, again, thread the needle against a lot of these teams and find their way into center positions. Their foes in FaZe are over in the west at the moment, so they're kind of far away from them. They won't be able to see them for the moment.
Teams doesn't spot Marco in the distance. I think Marco is very happy with that, but as you can see here, good reason he's not taking the shots while FaZe has space to maneuver. They're not sure exactly what they're running into. They've come down from the hillside. They haven't had a whole lot of chances to scout further east. You can see teams expecting off of that massive fight that took place just before that there's more opponents lingering in the nearby vicinity.
I've been a bit quiet for Foot at the start of today, but it's not like they need much. But they will be pressing up against BBL, 2 teams that are now mixes, representing these Turkish organizations and representing them well so far, but big power coming out. Quad 2 getting a few points on the board. They need huge points and need to recover from this, but I feel like they're just going to get pressed down by question mark here.
Yeah, very little chance for Molt to be able to get out of this one alive. We saw the northwest blow up just moments ago. Now it's the southeast's turn as all these teams try to maneuver their way further forward. Savim down south, trying to get into a better position. Teams does find Marco in the end of it, so that's DA out in 11th. And now, for the rest of the question mark here, the blue is pushing them forward, but that nade will do the job for him.
Yes, it will. Question mark and nades. Name a more iconic duo. They are excellent with these throwables, as we now have them trying to slowly move in against this position. For their approach towards the Woo might not be too hazardous. Nixie will be the off angle, which causes them problems. And then beyond that, we have FaZe still trying to take out BBL wherever they can. Zavum on a wide move now onto that west side. They may end up coming in between FaZe eventually. Not in between, but just below them and finding an angle on them.
And considering how widespread they are, it's absolutely clutch that Gustav actually spots the rotation happening initially, because now they can reset, now they can prep for potential fight to come, whereas had they been able to kind of pull up on them without them noticing fast enough, that would have had Gustav in a very difficult 1v4 to have to deal with.
Okay, question mark down. It's in second place with so many points, so they've assured that they're going to be going through into that final. Savum still 4 alive there, trying to make sure that it's hard for the Woo to get into a 4-man situation, because right now they're split up on that 2-2, but where Nixie as well is not too bad a spot if they can regroup there. BBL slow, steady against Foot. This has been a quieter fight that's been very steady up the top.
Sure has. While we saw all the eliminations coming in earlier, it's given that not a lot of space, but enough space for teams to kind of have a little bit of a piece of land to call their own, where they can hide. But now with the new circle having been popped, then just 10 seconds to go until it's going to start moving in, Chaos will go on just as it did before. Again, Gustav falls down, global army peeking over the top, and Again, they were in a wide split, and I'm not sure. I mean, we require a lot of suppressive fire from teams to allow for Fex to go down and get that rest. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, especially since now the entirety of Sarvum is rallying to this position as well. They're not like looking to hold out the Wu by any stretch. They're just looking to really now put the pressure on FaZe, who's going to have to somehow try and defeat them and then get to the circle. It's going to be difficult unless they want to go wrap around the north, but then you're running straight into BBL. So FaZe is stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, they're really hoping that either Wu is going to take the fight to Sarvum or BBL and Foot is going to start this fight faster because they want to be able to backfill on an already ongoing engagement. But as you're saying, they're waiting for the opportunity, but it ain't really presenting itself. As I say that now, Clip able to find Beamy. One gone down, nice little read on the edge of the smoke. They're trying to reposition, get into a better spot from where he can maybe get an off angle on the fight happening on the other side.
Will they be able to get Beamy up? As with all those smokes, looks like the answer may be yes. It really depends, because look at M-Force on the bottom right-hand side now. They're flexing out of Junkyard to try and negate the threats that may be coming in from the north side, and that could catch Foot especially really off guard here. Their entire attention is focused on BBL, and Ribbons looking to try and cause some pain.
I don't necessarily mind this play either, but they have to shut it down as soon as they read it. M-Force, now it's been read, now it's been seen.
You got to hit them.
Now you have to adapt to it, and M-Force, this was their one chance. Now you back off, now you go back to the compound. We saw it in PGC as well, where one of the Thai teams, I believe, went up and made a play like that just to the downfall of M-Force this time around. Didn't quite work out the way they would have wanted to. In the meantime, T-Bone finds the double at the loss of Beamy. Sure, deal with BBL.
Foot quiet until just now here today. This is a good start for them off the back of it. I say start as if it's the start of the game. For Foot, since we saw them in only the lowest placement they got yesterday was 6th place out of 6 games. So overall, yes, the game truly has now started for Foot Esports. And they could get even more, especially if this continues to sweep around towards that west side. They know that M-Force was behind them on the east. There's no huge incentive for them to start chasing them down just yet.
The 8C spotted out by CC just for a moment. That crate actually might grant him a little bit extra cover to be able to maneuver further forward. Sarvum are, well, kind of the next team to have to make a move. They have vehicles. They have a chance to just beeline it in towards the middle, but they also, I suppose, are well aware they have opponents on both sides. Not sure what that flash is going to do other than waste utility. But outside of that, they have a decision to make, especially now with Pubg Esports over the hilltop on the other side.
I think the Wu does a great job generally. I mean, they're not super close to the middle of this circle by any means, but they do a good job of trying to control the perimeters of circles. We've seen that a lot through yesterday, and they're kind of doing that now. Not really like taking a huge fight with Zarvan, but just kind of flexing and showing that their presence is there, presence is felt, whilst they try to slowly get into the circle.
Exactly. Couldn't have put it any better way. You don't always need to go kind of pedal to the metal in order to scare teams off. Sometimes just literally being there can be enough for a team to go the other way. And, well, Sarvum, too late, really, in my opinion, in making the decision. Even trying to kind of wait out and hope other teams are fighting with the position they were in, there was no way where they weren't going to be the team that was going to be focused first. And, well, now we're seeing the result of being undecisive.
Big shots coming in to finish off Sarvum. Everybody kind of barreling down on them. It's Foot and M-Force here that are going to end up fighting. One of the best of luck will finish it up with a big grenade. And now it's going to be a fight in the north and the Wu fighting across Ascend. Ascend's not going to move. They don't need to. So it's going to be the Wu firing at Foot, firing at M-Force. And Ascend might take the first and last engagements of this game, considering their start against FaZe early on.
I mean, there's kind of a truce between Wu and Ascent right now. That is, as long as you don't crash our compound, we don't shoot at each other. Because there really isn't a good reason to. Having said that, with the new circle shifting, now Wu is going to become more of a threat for Ascent. Actually should probably become the only focus for Ascent, because they know that Wu has to come down towards Junkyard proper. And I don't think there's any world where Foot collapses into Ascent's compound. No, this has got to be, like the south side has got to be the priority now for Ascent to cover.
I'm wondering how much utility Foot has, because it's going to be difficult, I think, to get off the cliffside that they are on at the moment. Chris is already well, okay, that's pretty early prepping for this. But you know what? If you want to, he's got a DBS as well. Let's do it, boys. Let's get in there. I want to see it. Ka-chonk, ka-chonk.
Ka-chonk, ka-chonk, indeed. Woo, though, ain't in a hurry. And also, I mean, there's, I don't want to say plenty, but there's enough cover outside that you don't necessarily have to full-on crash inside the brick building.
No, that's your teammate.
That's Pubg Esports, I mean, that's really the team that they're waiting for, because they can't play inside or the open parts of Junkyard as long as there's still a team sat on the hill above on the other. So they're waiting for exactly this to happen, seeing that buggy collapse down below, trying to make a play down. Now with that vehicle gone, or players gone, I should say, that should be Woo trying to make a play towards the southern side.
And for Foot, this was always going to end in disaster, really. Getting off this hill, it's nigh on impossible. T-Bone's almost made miracles happen yesterday, but I don't know if he can make this one happen. It will be ribbons for T-Bone in a moment, whilst the Woo is trying to find an angle here on Ascend, throwing a ton of utility in, trying to smoke them off.
I would be surprised if Woo ups to try and commit to that building. They know the game is going to end outside the building anyway. So, I mean, and you can see, again, it ain't much, but a little forklift and a container and a couple of old tires, that can be all the cover you need. Collapsing into a building, knowing they've been there for a while, knowing they're probably, most likely, at least set with shotguns just waiting for you. That is just a suicide waiting to happen.
I love it. Give me the DBS. I want to see it.
It's going to come into play. It's going to come into play, don't worry. I just hope it doesn't happen inside the building.
There's not many shotguns in play right now, but if there are, they're all on Ascend. You got your DBS, your S12K. Yes, look at it. Give me a Kiliakai as well. But the Woo is moving around here, looking to breach.
They shouldn't. Maybe go on. I mean, they really shouldn't. I was going to say, yes, play the roof, try and contain M-Force, but they have no good reason to go inside that building. Unless if they did, I mean, in all honesty, Ascend has been quiet for a while, but they have to know. I mean, we even saw, I think it was an Ascend player that took out the final player of Pubg Esports, so they have to know they have players inside that building.
They should. They definitely should. That was, I guess, an underhand nade coming to the roof there from It's Chris with a bit of damage, but I think the problem for him is he didn't know exactly where it came from. So the damage was done, but he's unaware exactly from where. And now, M-Force is pushing. This is going to be an absolute mess, Toby. This is going to be so messy.
Woo will have to get off this roof. I feel like them going on the roof here just makes it easier for Ascent to make a play. Now they're isolating themselves to be on the outsides of this. Of course, I mean, a lot of decision-making is being made in a split second right now, but this is an interesting one for sure. They're just so nadeable up on that roof.
How is this going to fare? That is a very long nade. I don't know if that's going to do much. Burning up his besto, though. More utility comes out. The Woo is really catching the brunt of all of this utility, be it the underhands from Ascend, be it the overhands coming in from M-Force. But oh, look, Chris is going out too early there. And, I mean, the circle is pushing them, so it's not easy to be able to make these choices. Quizzy as well as Nixie really putting in the boot now against Ascend. Kiliakai manages to find Nixie. Ribbons gets on to Micah. This could be all M-Force because they have this wall. This is an absolute bulwark for them.
This is a win for them, unless if Quiz does something phenomenal. Oh. Yeah, as I say that, first one comes through. He's still got full HP to work with as well. Second flash to follow. Rafa is low, can't see anything. Quizzy trying to lob more nades across, but everyone is blind. The nade spam continues. Rafa gets him in the end, and M-Force wins a game that while they might have won that in most scenarios, the way they came about that win, James, I think a lot of that rode on Woo going on a roof they probably shouldn't have been on to begin with.
Maybe. I mean, the other option is, again, kind of almost situating yourself to a degree in the middle of the two teams if you go to the location that you kind of mentioned earlier, but it is difficult to say. But M-Force was in Junkyard for a while, and they're able to take the win from it. We're going to head to a break, and when we return, we've got the desk as well as Erangel to come.
Okay.
Low in the smokes.
I'm coming to nade on you quick.
Between the dip pressing right now. They saw me go left. They saw me go left.
He's running.
Nice. We chill now. We chill. Chill, I'm healing.
He's in the dip. You should go push this together.
Yeah. Wait
for Jeans though.
Wait. I'm nading.
Be careful off right.
He can be far left, dead.
Nice.
I'm going left again.
I'm healing. Nice.
One guy in the car.
Yeah. The right Bronco. Yeah. You're still missing one, by the way. You know where the other one is.
Knocked on the car.
Nice. No info on last.
He's in the smoke. Left side, no? For Correxy?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm healing.
On the same car where you knocked the guy.
Okay, yeah. Just wanted me.
Cars.
Stacking up.
Lost. I can't flip him.
Stacked.
Fuck. Did we just push? He's low.
He's low.
Welcome back to PEC Spring. We are 3/4 of the way through the upper bracket playoffs, and we have 3 Erangel games left. Saga, what did you think of that last game?
I think FaZe, why you bully Ascend? Once again, they set up the camp. This time, I mean, they get the 1 kill out of it, but all in all, FaZe was bullying quite a lot of people so far today on Miramar, but in the final game, it came down to the positioning. M-Force was in Junkyard for a very long time that game. It worked out, and really only had to share it with Ascend at one point when they did eventually make it in there. But realistically, they just held on to the low ground for as long as possible. The Wu and Foot was making it impossible for one another to overpeak and really put pressure on the teams that were down below. And then they played it really well towards the end game, holding on to the wall, the line of sights that they had, the little breaks in the wall for the off angles, and the Molotovs well placed to deny the early exits from Ascend and really give them any chance of getting position towards the end.
Avenger, all our teams are now in the double digits when it comes to points. Do you think it just speaks to how strong this lobby is?
I would say the double digits here, for it to go to 9 games before they reach double digits is a little bit too long, maybe, especially now that maybe just 1 more game and we have a team on triple digits. Might be a little too late for M-Force. They need to have like 3 more absolute banger games to have a chance at it, but positive side obviously is that they're going to be pushing themselves quite nicely up there with 19. They had 5 going into this, so they're going to be on 24 total. But yeah, good game for them. They were able obviously to both defend, hold down the compound that they were fortunate enough to be in for a long time, and getting 9 kills. As Saga said, the positioning on their Molotov cocktails to deny early exits there for Ascend was perfect, and they set themselves up very nicely for this win. I was cheering for a big shotgun fight with Ascend and Wu, though. You know, you love that. You always love to see when a full team just pushes in and they just absolutely demolish them. But yeah, it didn't happen. The Wu, though, fantastic game overall. They played throughout. Super nice. The nice third party, nice timing on their decision making, and managed to rack up a good share of kills and points here for this game.
Obviously, we only have 3 games left, and this is your current leaderboard. The top 8 teams are making it through to the grand finals. The bottom 8 teams will have to go and play in the lower bracket. And any surprises for you at this point, Saga, or do you feel like it's a pretty balanced?
I think it's hideously close. I think it's definitely still a surprise that Twisted Minds is not yet in the top 8. They've got 3 games to try and rectify that when it comes over to Erangel at the very end, but it's about a 15-point gap that they're going to have to try and bridge, but they do definitely need to speed things up pretty quickly. I think when it comes to the lower end of the standings, it's not a massive surprise that some of the teams that came through the open qualifiers have struggled, but I do have to give one quick shout out to Zemolsen of GDE Esports. 10 kills on Miramar as an individual. He's tied on frags with Fex, out-fragging the likes of Example and Clib just on Miramar alone in the 6 games that we've played. He's got a third of his team's point just from his kills alone on Miramar, but that does kind of speak a little bit that we might expect them to falter a little bit more on Erangel, but it's still a thing that can be a bit of a confidence booster when it comes into the lower brackets, which it's looking very much like they're going to be entering into later this week.
Avengers, it's safe to say a lot of competitive PUBG fans may be a bit surprised that BBL, Entropic, I would say to a degree, and Twisted Minds aren't sitting in the top 8 right now.
Yeah, I would say so. There's a lot of high expectations to both fans and organizations and themselves from the players amongst themselves to each other, but also amongst the team to themselves. So I honestly super surprised that we don't see Twisted Minds up there already now that we've played 9 games. But Entropic, rough start here. They need insane games on a wrangle here to make sure they get into it. But on the other hand, it's a team that's going to be really scary to play against in the lower bracket. They're going to be warmed up per se, right? They're going to have like a little bit easier of a lobby, and they're going to be guaranteed almost to be in the top 8 there. If they don't, then it's going to set a precedent for the rest of the year that's going to be really rough for them.
We've seen Question Mark have a really good start to day number 2, and I had a chance just before the competition began to catch up with a doozy. This is what he had to say. I'm joined by a doozy from Question Mark, and a doozy taking a look back, obviously a top 10 finish in PGC last year. What was that experience like for you and the team?
For me, actually, it was like basic tournament, which I played already 2 times. For my players, for my teammates, it was a new run, the new one. They got a lot of experience on this.
Do you think you have an advantage going into PEC Spring because your roster had that experience at PGC last year?
I don't think, because PGC and like EU tournament is different tournaments. On PGC, you're playing against the worlds, and it's like 2 different metas on both tournament. But I think we have advantage because we didn't change the roster. We like just fix our big mistakes. And
what do you think was, you said you were fixing your mistakes. What do you think was your biggest mistake from last year that you've improved on for this year?
Our big mistakes was actually by me. Like I was the big mistake.
Okay.
If like people will be made to the winner bracket on PGC from the groups, and like when we played winner bracket, I like let my teammates to make more calls than usually they are doing. And it was like kind of bad for us. We finished 15, if I'm not wrong.
Taking a look back at your PUBG career so far, what would you say is your biggest highlight? Is there a specific moment that you can pinpoint?
In Korea, we actually didn't play good, so we didn't even play any of finals, if I'm not wrong.
There is a moment that we've been able to find, and it is a little bit of a funny one. So we're going to show it to you now, and I wonder, do you remember this specific moment in game?
Terry, there is going to be such a funnel of teams making their way northern this time around. Well, Genji blessed with a kill early on in the previous game. This time, Adusi, he ain't going to let him have that header. That's minus 3 points. Oh, come on, man.
Oh.
Do you remember this?
Yeah, I remember it. Like, I just want to just flash him with a gun.
I liked it. It was like you were playing with your food a little bit.
I mean, in real life, he will eat me, not me.
I like that. He'll eat you, not the other way around. Aduzi, thank you so much for chatting to us, and good luck in the competition.
Thank you.
It's even funny the second time you hear it. Remember, we've been doing a giveaway over on Twitter. If you tell us who your favorite teams are using the hashtag PEC Spring, you can win some prizes, and I have a winner for you. Congratulations, Odin XOXO. I'm waiting for the Twitter handle I can't actually say. You sent out a message. I'm going to read it because it's quite cute. I love my FaZe boys to death, even in dark times. But they haven't had a dark day today, have they, Saga?
No, it's definitely been some bright sparks for FaZe. It's still not what you would call solid ground for them. They are still dangerously close to that middle of the pack, that sort of 8th to 9th slot in the standings where things really get a little sketchy, and things are looking pretty close in our standings as well on the fantasy leaderboard.
I don't really want to talk. I don't want to talk about this. No one cares about fantasy. It doesn't matter. It's not. I'm not saying
you
this
care
because
when
I'm
you're
at
not
the
in last
bottom.
place.
Yeah, but now I don't care because I am in last place. So we're done. We're done with fantasy. Let's talk about reality. And the reality is we've got 3 more games, and then we'll know who our top 8 are. Avenger.
Yeah, that's true. FaZe Clan stepped up here. They obviously in a good spot now. They doubled their points in 3 games compared to what they had in 6 games yesterday, right? So good stuff for them. But still, it's still extremely close here. We have potentially even 9 teams, 8 teams that are fighting for 4 spots. It could be super close. And if After All doesn't step up and have some good points in the last one here, it could be a team that could actually be hunted down by some of the high performing teams. They definitely need I would say maybe 10 points more to be sure, but 8 more to feel comfortable in a good spot.
So TLDR, After All should spend more time trying to set opponents on fire than setting themselves on fire.
Should be worried about Entropic though. Well, that's for sure.
Just play the game. Okay, we're not going back to that conversation, but we are going back to your casters as we head on over to Erangel.
Thank you very much, Sam. Still ahead of Avenger. Sheesh, that's nice. I like that a lot, even though we have the same team. But you know what? I'm above him on that thing, so I'm going to be taking that. We've got ourselves Toby as well here to talk about these games. And this... it's already been a nice spicy 9 games. There's been happenings, there's been controversies already. And now we move on to Erangel, mate.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Curious to see if Question Mark can keep up the consistency that they've had on Miramar so far today. And even if they don't, it ain't gonna matter too much because they're pretty much already through. It's some of the teams further down the list that need to really step things up now.
Yeah, as we look further on down from those teams trying to move into the top 8, I feel like there's some extremely strong contenders there, Toby. I mean, if you look at, again, the Woo, Ascender, who just got a boatload of points as well, Twisted Minds kind of sitting in these spots. All of these teams pushing on up are really going to be forcing the issue against some of the teams that really didn't get a huge amount of points, like DA, BBL from this game. I mean, BBL got a few, of course, but it's by the by.
And what's interesting is now that M4's won the previous game, coming into the previous game, I would have said it's going to make it even more exciting if it's the same few teams that keep up racking up points now, because that's really going to make that fight between 8, essentially 6, or 9 through 6, I should say, interesting. What's that one team that don't get included in the grand finals right away? But now that some of the bottom teams are starting to take a part of the points, we might even see, or I should say, we might see even more teams actually come into that fight in the final game, while some of them, it will be a stretch, but still,
yeah,
possibility.
I mean, as you say, even for M-Force, it's not out of the realms of possibility that they could still make top 8. There has been a lot of 0-point games, but you never know. You never know with how things go. But anyway, let's get into it. It is Erangel, the grassy pastures on the way, and we have what is a serviceable playing path for everybody to be able to get to where they want to go and avoid those early conflicts from going to those backup drops.
Yeah, it's as simple as they come in terms of playing paths here. It's usually, though, I feel like at least that's been the case for the last half year or so. The more basic the circles or the planes have been, the more harsh the circles have become. And I wouldn't be surprised if we'll see one, if not more, northern circles today as well as we saw yesterday.
All right, so as everyone drops on down, we compare to where their usual drop spots are. Quad 2 going south of M-Force on military. Quad 2 would normally like to be over by Milta Power. I suspect we're going to see Quad 2 here get vehicles, head over to Nova Noe, and then from there just play the rest of the game out. That is generally considered one of their backup drops, which is decent.
Yeah, I mean, again, not we didn't see a whole lot of commotion in the early games of the Erangel matches yesterday, and wouldn't expect to see any issues here either in that regard. Circle, out towards the west we go. We're looking at one of those Everest endings, always quite entertaining. Similar, I suppose, to what we talked about Junkyard. While we've had a lot of Everest endings, I feel like they always give us a good variety of entertainment.
Yeah, definitely. There's always teams that get kind of eventually pincered by other teams coming up towards Everest. There's always teams below them from Everest which find themselves little divots to rest in, even though sometimes it can be quite open, a bit of a shooting gallery for the teams up at the top. But the teams have made it work. We've seen teams down in the bottom of Everest still being able to take out those teams at the top. So anything's open.
Anything is open. Plenty of space out to the west as well for BBL should they opt to wrap hard west around. George Pole is all theirs for the taking. Down towards the south, M-Force, well, they won a game. Didn't exactly skyrocket them up the leaderboard. Still sat in 15th off of that, but the massive gap that they had to kind of, breach in order to make it into the top 14 has now been jumped. Only 4 points up to the 14th place. And even from there, we're looking at something like 32 points in 3 games. Not impossible, highly unlikely. And he's terrifying. That was actually somewhat of a jump scare. Where the hell did that really come from? Damn you, observers, you caught me there. No, I mean, M-Force maybe not a contender for a top 8 spot this time around, but with them getting points here, that is points they're taking away from teams that very much need them.
I'm terrified still. That was scary stuff.
The camera angle too.
Yeah.
Made something already scary even more so.
I guess we're going to have more horror game collaborations with PUBG at some point, if that's the kind of content we're seeing here. Where is that baby?
I mean, PUBG is a horror game already. What do you mean? I get nothing but jump scares when I play this game. It's
I used to when I was playing a man character, because whenever they got hit, it make me jump out of my skin like that. Now I play the lady character. It's much more soothing when I get hit.
There you go. There you go. Clip spotting the rotation from after alt coming through. A few shots fired, but not really a whole lot of it. Will go into his own vehicle now as well. How will that timing match? He's going to start driving, of course, spotting this off of the map feed. Oh, there's the baby again.
Oh, that's where it is.
Thank you so much. Yep. Oh, up, oh, up, oh, that's where the baby.
Whoa.
Whoa.
We're on a roller coaster.
That was a perfect example of how James sometimes moves his head when he goes, whoa.
That is true.
In any case, Kameshki, Pubg Esports, that's where it was. That's where they are, and that's where they're looking to rotate from.
Lovely. I'm glad we figured that out. I mean, admittedly, there's probably a lot of those babies on this map. I just wanted to know. Yeah, I wanted to know where that specific one was, okay? But anyway, we have ourselves, after all, already on the move alongside BBL up at the top here. They're going to find themselves nice spots up there, a lot of room to work with. Entropic's already firing to ward off other players from coming their way. So they want a lot of room on this east side of Gatka, and understandably so. That is, are they on the other side of this bridge, on the bridge camp? How?
I mean, Kilika is in glass, so maybe, but I don't think they're not fully set up for anything.
Yeah.
Had they may have been 10, 15 seconds faster, maybe. Kilika actually not even in glass. I was sat on the roof of a shack, not exactly prime real estate. So camp. The shot show, yes, they will. Maybe he can kind of sheep hurt Doxer into his teammates. I think that's what he tried to do. He succeeded in doing so, and there you go. Micah able to take down one as Doxer falls.
Shoes on the other foot for Ascend after being camped themselves. Now they're getting a little bit of whiff of this action.
Speaking of taking a look at the map, FaZe is, I guess we can now call it doing FaZe things in terms of being fully committed on the middle of a bridge down towards Milton. FaZe is really, is that going to be the FaZe of 23? The non-stop fear of any Edge team? Because here they are. Maybe they just want a bit of revenge because they humiliated themselves so much last game.
I mean, I like it. I really do. Like, this kind of...
want a second chance.
I almost phrased it as this phased out for a while in terms of these bridge camps, but I mean, look, they're bringing it back into style.
They are.
And this is terrifying. This is scary.
Now, if we can get a vote going in chat here, will FaZe get a kill on a quad 2 player before they cross into the other island? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. I would have said Micah would have died in that last game, but he didn't. So you never know. You never know. Will they hit their shots or will they not? Only time will tell.
I'm under the impression. I'm gonna press 1. Okay, Toby.
I think I'm gonna press 1 as well.
Yeah.
Unless it got 2. I mean, FaZe did set up a lot of camps, or attempted to, yesterday as well. So maybe Quad 2 has read it and they're gonna go, you know what, that ferry looks pretty good right now. Maybe they'll opt to do something along those lines, or stay on the bridge and drive to the west, or stay on the island and drive to the west bridge. That's an option as well.
Can you imagine you take the ferry and all of a sudden FaZe sees you in the crates and they start dropping nades underhand off of the bridge? That would be beautiful, but probably kind of silly.
Also a little bit silly, but it could work. Could work. In the meantime, GDE sat just on the southern side of ruins, have snuck their way up, or maybe it's actually DA that kind of collapsed in this building, and because they were split pretty thinly, Samuelson has been forced to just sit around, feed information across to his teammates, who are now here. Iceboy able to take down Code Marco. Iroh falls instantly after.
Shotguns in hand. Will there be any more from this? Iceboy flushes Code Marco. DA is going to be looking for revenge off the back of that. But here comes Kill Still as well for the reinforcements. Looking for an off angle. Mert finds Samuelson. It's going to be coming through.
This is going on. EB. Ooh, you can see distance there. Starting to line up. A nice narrow angle for Mert to get that nade through. EB steals one though. They are now aware that there are teams around wanting a piece of this.
Not too bad in the slightest. Avoiding this molly. Still GDE trying to get rid of them. Underhand nade on the outside. Anticipating where Iceboy may move. There is a lot of nades going off. There's Kill Still through the window.
Yep. Down goes one more. Just one DA player left alive. Make that 2 as Iroh is back on his feet once more. How can they sit tight here? Iroh goes down once again. Metralius will try and see if he can get him back up on his feet, but really regardless of who comes out victorious in this one, both of them has taken, I would say, too many casualties to make it worth for either team to take this fight.
Extremely so. And here comes it. There's one down. How much more will they get off this? They waited so long on this as well.
And
he's in the distance. Can they get him? Hit it, hit it, hit it.
One more chance, one more chance. Oh, but Correction actually got all 3. There you go.
Super successful.
If you ever bridge camping, be the 3rd guy on the bridge, because you're going to get all the kills. In the meantime, Metralius, well, he ain't going to get nothing more of that. Instantly met with the barrel of kill steal. Now it's just Iroh left alive in a 1v3.
Indeed. Double peek on around this, and it doesn't actually go that well. Iroh is able to clean up GDE here. The 16th place for GDE. Just does Iroh things. And we said it yesterday, man. This guy takes a break and he's still got it. He's still got it.
Iroh knocks 3 players and gets 1 kill.
Yeah, there is that.
Yep, there is that indeed. So off of all of that, 7 players die. 1 kill is given across. And Iroh, now a solo player left alive in what could become somewhat prior real estate. It won't be as the next circle goes further southwest, but definitely a spot that people now know that there's a very wounded teammate.
Twisted Mind's just going to be bypassing all of this. They don't really need to think about the potential cleanup for that. They're looking for more in the middle. And Entropic is actually having to just get together now, because if they were spread out as much as, well, quite a while ago now, I must admit, then it would have been dire straits for them. They're going to go for a 2-2 at the moment, whilst all these other teams jostle for position around them.
Yeah, Foot up towards the north, trying to wrap around Everest. I like the fact that they go all the way around. Also, I'm loving that we're seeing Foot and BBL kind of run into each other as often as we are, because in the break between the last game, I had a chance to hop onto the social medias, and I'm going to say the social media managers of BBL and Foot Esports take every chance they get to tag each other in tweets with clips, and I'm loving the battle that's going on there between the 2 orgs. It's absolutely phenomenal.
That's what
rivalries in PUBG. I love it.
Imagine that, though. Those 2 teams have the rivalry. Weird. But MTB now pulls up here, and BBL is going to have an outlook across this. That's some good hits from Clip. Can they follow up with it?
I mean, do they want to follow up with it is the question. The issue is they have one already down there, but those nades, again, the hillsides allows for them to funnel in every now and again. Gets one more. Dante does steal one, so no points confirmed, but they know that there's at least 2 players down, and that should be enough for BBL to want to push this.
Yeah, they were kind of stuck, because they were being shot at by the Woo as well, right? So MTB, unfortunately for them, they might have got the compound, but I feel like they're not going to survive a lot of this.
Yeah. I mean, MTB, they might be blessed with just BBL not really. I mean, while they could, not wanting to risk it, because as you can see, as soon as they tried to run over that ridge line, 3 teams started shooting from afar. And second time around, that kill's stolen as well. That's Entropic. Claims some much needed points.
Truly a trap, unfortunately, for MTB here. Just caught between all of that. And BBL, meanwhile, may not have got any points from it just yet, but they are sitting pretty, still alive. Just slightly up the hill from them. Iroh. Okay, you're going to have to do double Iroh things here if you want to survive this one. Wu's going to try and collapse on you. And Nixie finishes off Iroh. A valiant attempt by Iroh in the previous engagements, but not to be. Oh, he actually knocked Best Losh.
And it's Wu who goes for it. I like it. I mean, we saw EB steal 2 of the kills in there as well. They knew that there was a wounded player in there just waiting to be pushed, and that's exactly what they do. They claim real estate inside the circle. They're not in a hurry to get a center position anyway, so might as well just claim something you know that you can get with somewhat limited effort.
All right, and Clib's going to finish up Nail Cop wherever he can, and it's going to be SWAT team mode engaged. Let's get in here. Let's flush them out and have this entire spot for ourselves with the opportunity to also use the high ground building. Nail Cop's gone. And CTR Ken, not destined for this world for very long, I imagine.
Nah, probably not. Unless if something absolutely insane happens. I'm not seeing a DPS, and therefore I don't assume this is gonna happen. Valiant effort, spraying through as hard as he could, but nope, not gonna matter. Clip finds him, and I'm not seeing any team who would be interested in trying to follow up on this one.
Meanwhile, elsewhere, FaZe has now made landfall in the circle. And
they get a good shift.
Yeah, this is okay for them. This is okay. I love...
Can't complain.
If we got to cast our mind back, obviously, to that bridge camp whilst we have a few fights going on for the rotations, we can talk about that I wanted to talk about in a moment, because it seems like Sarvum's completely gotten past Zindax, who actually didn't find too bad a spot himself after being completely wounded. But I like that FaZe understood that a team had taken their alt drop spot based on the playing path, etc., and things like that, and waited it out. Really good patience overall, given the information that they were working with in terms of those alt drop spots, as well as the likelihood of them. It's nice.
It really is. Really is. Full control on the southern side, if not for Ascent, who is also down in that direction. Pubg Esports trying to find their kind of entry point to this circle, wrapping west around, and they might just be running into Afteralt out towards the west. So we still have quite a few teams who need to make landfall in this new circle. There's a little 2 minutes buffer for them to make that play, but even looking now, I mean, yes, we're shifting away from the mountains, allowing for the fields to be played, but even then, there's, what, 4 teams now out towards the west side of this circle? This is going to be a bloodbath, and I think Ascent is going to be on the kind of winning side of all of it.
Beamy falls down for his troubles, whilst the rest of Foot are slowly encroaching on this position and trying to move on past. T-Bone a little far away to provide any full fire support as well. After ult, a freebie for them.
Yep, freebie indeed. Enid trying to leave, trying to get into a better position, but the issue is, yes, you've kind of hindered Pubg Esports in their rotation, but now you're essentially running into the same situation yourself. Woo! Quizzy in hand here, lobbing nades over. They're well aware that BBL has pulled up on the compound, and now they need to sit tight and try and defend this position, but ain't gonna be easy. Rostenmark goes down once again. Entropic being a nuisance to BBL.
And what can they do this? Quizzy in the window, does not get tagged up too hard there, so can fight another day. Here comes nades on in, though. That's a small room. You need to be able to take a bit of shelter behind some of the small furniture in it, and they do indeed. Jumps into the window now. That's a bit bold. let's get back
your
out.
friends are wrestling each other. Don't. I respect Smash for wanting to do Smash things, but don't get overzealous here. It's a very winnable fight.
As support fire from the roof as well. Now that has been revealed, so of course the Wu can try and aim that direction when it comes along. But also, when you're on a roof like this, a timer's against you. Eventually, a team will spot you on a roof from another angle. So you want to be careful here as BBL.
Also, I mean, knowing that Entropic has literally downed Rostenmark twice, they have their eyes hot fixed in this position. And just to make matters worse, why not add a third team to the mix? For Pubg Esports, wrapping around this. They will see the smokes. They will hear the gunshots, but will they up to engage on it? While this happens, the next circle shifts south, now making this compound completely irrelevant from what's about to happen just a couple of moments away from here.
This could be genius by Foot if they backfill where the Woo was, and it looks like they are here from this. I like it a lot. Really good understanding of how these engagements are going to play out, the ebb and flow of the game. Circle's shifted down, so they can try and get some kill points off of this. Quizzy's looking for some, but Clib will get it. And now he and the rest of BBL here. Oh, that's unfortunate.
That's a two players flash for a very long time, and the result of it, a lot of them coming through. Nixie, massive play from him trying to defend his teammates on the other side. Maybe wants to get Quizzy back up. Best of luck, Spotty. Smash player. Smash finds the double over the side. Able to get the flush and one as well. Smash doing so much damage to the players on this side. Now Nixie, 1v1 here. Can he come out victorious? Has the back. Not gonna happen. Smash 1v3 takes down Woo with a little bit of help from Foot. Now making their way over here. BBL, Pubg Esports once again sprawling.
Oh, Smash. You are a daredevil, my friend, but it's not going to be enough to take out the rest of them. 8C finally cleaning that up. What a menace in this location. Jeez.
It's not easy to take down. There are just some of these players that put them up with the back against the wall, and they will fight with everything they've got. And well, this very heroic performance, but unfortunately for BBL, was also going to be the end of the run there. Smart reading, as you said as well, James, of Foot to understand that we can take this fight, and if we kind of force the issue a bit, maybe we can get it over with before the circle is on us, and that's exactly what happened. In the meantime, Ascent, seeing question mark pull up in full force on the buildings in front of them, might as well just back off and give it to them.
I feel like now Foot is probably trying to try and go for the trenches, but if they do, it might end up being suicide against where Entropic is. They have a lot of control there, so we'll see how that goes. They're in a car now trying to make the move. While we see Ascend has still got 4 alive, still moving on through towards the center here, and if they can just put in some damage against After All, I think they're going to have quite a bit of room for a little while.
Yeah. No, we'll see. After all, just Ian and Hibako trying to make themselves as small as possible would be my guess. They are moving around, of course. Can't just be a stale target, but you do not want to attract too much attention to yourself. Not in this position. At least wait out 15 seconds and see where the next circle is going to force you to go, if anywhere at all.
Foot's in the trench, and they're slowly moving up it here against Entropic. I don't know how long they're going to be able to last in there, though. If Entropic has a decent amount of utility, nades are going to end Foot here. So they're advancing rapidly to try and get the spring on Entropic as much as they can do, even though Entropic knows they're there.
And the thing is, I mean, for Entropic, they only have 2 of their players. I'm going to actually make that 3 now if their players down by the sewer or the gutter itself. But the issue for Entropic is they can't really utilize the top side too much because they know if they have Twisted Minds on one side, they know they have M-Force on the other. So as you're seeing here, QBE peeks over, take a couple of shots, and then backs off again. You can't stay up for too long because you're in vision of pretty much half the serve.
There's quite a few nades for Nail Up, and the rest of the guys have 1 or 2 apiece themselves. 1 and 2 mollies for QBE. So some could eventually come over this, but I think for Entropic, they want to force Foot into a worse position. They can wait until the circle really comes in if this is going to prolong out. Twisted Minds, meanwhile, is going to see After All, as they were trying to make themselves, as you say, as small as possible, but not small enough here. Ibako trying to salvage everything, trying to regain some territory, but it's not going to be enough. Blue finishes it all off as After All out.
Damage has been done in return as well. Twisted Minds losing 2 with potential of the rest is coming in. They do take 2 casualties with question mark and Ascent on that side of the circle now as well. One more battle could be just moments away from happening. And now back towards the north side, Pubg Esports and Entropic. No knocks just yet. Beamy has fallen, but Entropic still stand with 4.
I especially want to be peeking over against the MK14 from Foot. That is terrifying, but Ascent here, now in the barrage war against question mark. And in the kill feed, Foot's actually doing a lot against Entropic here. This is great for them, all things considered, but it's only T-Bone left alive, and QBE as well is going to be able to try and finish this off. Lookerux goes down to Global Army.
That's the issue, right? Tries to run over the top, tries to come for 8, but taken down in doing so. But will fall in the end. I thought maybe T-Bone could pull it off, but not gonna happen. In the meantime, now, question mark starting to fall down as well as Twisted Minds from the other side engage in the party. Mika able to find the double. That's question mark out in 8th. The bloodbath ensues as we now make more space, but this forest side is so open that at any moment's notice, you're going to be shot at.
Absolutely sandwiched there with question mark, and this is where Twisted Minds needs to come alive alongside, I mean, to be honest, alongside Ascend as well. Both of these teams not in the top 8 at the moment. 3 games remaining. This is a good opportunity for both of them here to try and move on up with the amount of kill points that they've got so far. But it is rough here, as you're saying, with it being as open as it is. Any peek across this, look, I mean, what cover is Betooling's working with? What, that tree and a car at the moment? It's not much.
You have to have your head on a swivel in this position. I constantly be spinning around trying to check all the ridges above you. And FaZe, well, I mean, they came into this circle very, very dead last, and now a quadruple hard shift in their direction has allowed them to pretty much just chill ever since they got here. I mean, they got here in phase 2, and they have moved approximately 10 meters since then. So they've heard all the commotion. They've had the player shift just sitting back and waiting for opponents to slowly come their way.
Terrifying names left on the field, though. Na'Vi still lurking in the east. Savamu have proved themselves pretty well, I would say. I'm always impressed by Savamu. You could call them an, in inverted commas, up-and-coming team, even though they won Brutality and how that worked out for them. And then Twisted Mind still failing some of these teams. Brooks still alive. Still looking for as much as they can. Enforce. Gonna hold here.
Veronica goes for the double. Finds one. No need to go for the flush when he's already downed. So gets the second. Entropic out. 6 teams left alive now in Ascent. While they have to make a move, should they be able to take down Twisted Minds here, they're looking to get a really good game. And now sat in that 10th place spot with just 2 games left to go after this one, could really kind of solidify their spot in the top 5 potentially.
Yeah, unless Ascend goes south, it's difficult for both of these teams to come in on the west. So either there's conflict here or Ascend goes into phase.
I mean, it's a fight no matter how you put it. It's just a matter of taking your poison, I suppose, and you'd rather fight the team that's outside the circle. Here, for example, if M-Force finds 1 on Twisted Minds, you're 180 and you take the fight to Twisted Minds. Issue is then FaZe is going to be there ready and waiting. I'm not sure. Well, now they start shooting, so Gustav, having revealed the position of FaZe Clan, definitely alerts Ascent to the threat up close.
All right, well, a direct fight here. James is way off in the back, waiting for that crate to come down by the looks of things.
Nah, he's holding the angle. He's playing
that too. Yeah, that as well. And we have Ascent.
I know
now.
we have a fight going on, but wait, guys, could we just wait for a second?
Yum yum. Oh, Brex. Already getting Gustav.
Good timing on the spray down. Spots Fix over the top as well. A lot of damage done on both sides, but Fix rolling down where Braxcorps is sitting in the smoke. That's nope, not gonna happen. Kill the guy. Almost finds the angle in the smoke.
All right, well, James has got to reinforce now. And what on earth did he get out of that crate? It better be a cannon for what I can consider here off the back of this. Brexco still putting in work against FaZe. Corexi manages to shut him down, though. James is reinforcing.
All flashed. Level 3 gear. Fresh level 3 gear at that in the hands of James. And Corexi with the barrel here as well. No real threat for them from behind, especially now that Navi and Savim are fighting. James and Corexi should know for a fact that they have no threats behind them. Issue is Chris doesn't care. Corexi falls down, spots James as well. He's going to get the knock in return and Global Army now taking the fight to Navi. 3 of them down in just a second.
Impressive stuff. And that will be them finished off here. Lou, share some with the rest of your team. Geez, 6 kills.
Reaping the rewards of third-party opportunities here, Twisted Minds. They dealt with M4s early, allowing for themselves to kind of pick their poison in all of this. They see a battered and bruised Ascent pull up from behind, net themselves a couple of more kills, and now seems there's no way he can go for that res. Has to try and see if maybe he can claim something on the fight on the north side.
Yes. They're going to move around. eventually take down Corexi. James is holding what he can. Navi eliminated by Sarvam in such a methodical way.
Sarvam just 4-0'd Navi. That is not a fight I would expect Sarvam to win, and even if so, maybe with one alive. They didn't lose a single player in that engagement.
And Sarvam's one of the teams, alongside Ascend and Twisted Minds, that really need some big points from this. They're kind of all in that 10th, 11th, 12th area at the moment. So this could be huge for Sarvam if they're able to convert into a win. And again, if Lou lets anybody else get a damn kill on his team.
Corexi not moving a whole lot. Might be able to feed some audio info to teams further down towards the east. Now, with him falling, obviously, that's going to be very limited.
All right. I guess you just try and fully play spoiler from here on out for Jeans, right? And then once the fight goes down, hope that you can like clean something up, steal a kill here and there.
This is where the kill feed tracking becomes important for Twisted Minds because, no, actually it doesn't really matter because they just saw a flushed player in Corexi, so they know there's got to be at least one face player alive. I was thinking maybe if they didn't see Baron Peak go down earlier, they would think it was a 4v4, but because Corexi bled out, that's a pretty clear indicator that there's still at least one face member alive as well.
Lou, again, he's shooting at everything, man. You got to get out of the way of him. Even a global army is not going to stand a chance against Lou at this point in this kind of game. But Sarvan gets the circle, and James is going to be very sneaky around this right-hand side. Now, what is important is that CCNX as well is oftentimes taking stock of that angle. So is Global Army. So they're aware that there is still a potential looming threat from that angle.
Well, Sarvan trying to push further forward, but now the circle shifting in that direction, they realize that we don't really have to, but still you can see there's a bit of a buffer, a bit of a dead man's or no man's land here, where if they can catch them while there, that's really where you want to take out your opponents, where they have zero cover to work with. And great read from CC, understanding that there's a good chance there's someone sat on that west side of the circle as well. And for Twisted Minds, I think, unfortunately for James, the only real approach they can have to the circle is that way. Direction.
Yeah. They're just going to wrap around, use this, and unfortunately James will become the casualty of it. But maybe he puts in some damage on Twisted Minds and gives Sarvam a little bit of a leg up.
I mean, he did get level 3 gear now.
He's going aggressive.
Further forward, but he is right in between two teams. Does CC spot him there? I think he might have. Instantly hand flashbang thrown forward. He is. What is it with James and just 0-0 vision in endgame situations? I mean, he's just a flashbang magnet. That molly gonna be a bit far, but let alone the fact that shots are fired in that direction is gonna alert Twisted Mind to his position. And CC, I was just gonna say, maybe focusing James too hard here because he was exposed to Twisted Minds, fortunately able to back off. And they don't know there's someone out there somewhere.
As soon as Twisted Minds heard the shots, they knew that there was distraction enough for them to be able to peek over properly. Lou, 7 kills. Lou is on an absolute tear right now. He's going for CC next. And if he gets more than this, my days, he is on the warpath. Look at the nades raining down. The line is being absolutely barraged here from Sarvan, and I don't know how you win this against Twisted Minds when they're feeling this hot. The smokes are going to cover them for a little while, but Spiro's even using the rock for an extra little angle.
Curious how much utility there's left, especially lethal utility on the side of Sarvam here, because the position that's Twisted Minds is in, yes, they have to rock for cover, but that is all they have. One well-placed nade here would be the death of them, but I would not imagine that at this point in the game they still have nades left. One molly still on Voldemort. Again, the longer you save it, the less space the opponents have to play around. But the longer you save it, the bigger the chance that you won't get a chance to use it at all. As well, Spiro, 2 mollies as well. Global Army finds 1. Tulens falls down, 3v3.
Kicked the bee's nest there. Spiro peeks over and shoots some frantically into the smoke here after the knock goes down. So how much more? Trying to shoot the mollies in midair. Not exactly successful, but it does go off regardless.
The dot is closer to Sarvam than Twisted Minds, but the dot is going to force both teams out into the open here. Sarvam, so far, their best performance has been a 3rd place with 2 kills or 9 with 7. So this game here will definitely, no matter how it goes down, be the best performance of the upper bracket for them so far. But will they come out victorious? Twisted Minds back up to 4 alive. Couldn't capitalize on the knock.
Batulin's back up. Spiro actually finds himself Global Army as well. And now Lou looking to... Okay, Lou, calm it all. Okay, they find CC and X, and that is going to be so difficult now for Sam to finish it off. Twisted Minds get 2 in a day already, and that is going to be a nice big win for them, putting them in the top 8.
Absolutely huge for Twisted Minds to come out victorious here again. Today we have 4 games played and we have only got 2 victors so far. Pretty phenomenal for Twisted Minds. We questioned them yesterday saying, where were you? Well, here they are.
Yes, they are. Brilliant stuff from them, finishing that off, but great for Sarvum in terms of a lot of points going their way as well. It's time for a break. When we return, it's the desk and then more Erangel.
A new assault rifle, some balance adjustments to old favorites, and a few terrain changes to Destin. All this and more as we dive into the Update 22.2 patch report. First up, a popular new French assault rifle is hitting the battlegrounds. The FAMAS is a 5.56 AR capable of single fire, burst, and full auto. You won't find this new weapon among normal loot, however. So check care packages and other special areas where powerful weapons spawn. We're also giving a couple tried and true ARs some balance adjustments, with the AUG, M416, M16, and the Mutant all receiving a few changes. Check out the patch notes for full details on these. Also, with the introduction of the FAMAS, the AUG will now spawn among normal Battlegrounds loot. Destin is also getting a few changes, with the addition of several hills between Barcliff and Tarita, to aid players making the long and perilous trek. There's also a new dirt track south of San Carmen, to break up sightlines a bit and add some more interesting flavor to that area. And since the PUBG 6th anniversary is fast approaching, we're also putting up some festive decorations around Erangel, Miramar, and Sanhok. We've also updated the Hall of Fame on Erangel with special items to commemorate the PGC 2022 winners. So check it out on your next drop. That's it for this quick update. But as always, you can find all the details of these changes and more in the official patch notes. Update 22.2 is here, so find yourself a new FAMAS and get ready to celebrate the glorious 6th anniversary of PUBG. We'll see you on the battlegrounds.
Nice. One guy in the car.
Yeah. The right Bronco. Yeah. We're still missing one, by the way. Don't know where the other one is.
Popped on the car.
Nice. No info on last.
He's in the smoke left side, no? For Correxy?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt. I'm here.
On the same car where you knocked the guy.
Cars.
Stacking up.
Lost. I can't block him.
Stack.
Fuck. Did we just push?
I don't have any.
I don't have enemy with me. We're moving now.
2 of us need to go.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try
two guys at the warehouse.
down to warehouse.
You have to.
I'm just gonna try prone on the retreat.
Yeah, it down. Take it away. You're just prone.
They're coming now. One's coming. One's on my right side.
They took the first chicken dinner on Miramar, and now they've taken the first chicken dinner on Erangel today. Twisted Minds, one of the favorites coming into PEC Spring. But Saga, is it enough to make sure that they can get through to grand finals after today?
Oh, it's a huge step in the right direction. They're already within the top 8 as it currently stands. And so, yeah, all they have to do is hold on. And Twisted Minds is a team that's very, very solid at that. Smash, I've got to say, did a fantastic job of holding on for his team. And it was a pretty crazy 1v1 in the end between himself and Nick Sears. BBL and the Woo went head-to-head. There was quite a few of the fights throughout this game, which did come down to individual battles. But in the end, it was the team fighting of TM that was enough to win them the game.
Avenger, walk us through that final fight between those 4 teams. How exactly was Twisted Minds able to get the chicken dinner?
So first of all, they played extremely well on the west side. They managed to keep on having 4 guys alive for a long time, and then they backfilled the fights. they third-party a lot of fights, and they just kind of swept in. They were on the west, and they ended up being kind of on the southeast after they swept through Ascend and Faceland. So I really like their third party. It's kind of like in and out fighting for them, where they maintaining 4 players alive because they knew it was super important for them to win this year. So they come in, kind of get a little bit of damage onto some of the teams that they're fighting, kind of poking at both directions, and yeah, getting multiple openings. And then when they feel like they're confident enough that they're going to be able to win a fight and keeping all 4 players alive, that's where they go in. Super perfect surgery here for them. To dissect all of the teams, honestly, and 20 points for them puts them into the top 5 or top 8.
Was there something that Sarvum could have done differently which may have changed the final result of that game, Avenger?
Not lost Global Army in the beginning, then it would have been a 500 versus 4 in the end, and they might have won it now. Not really. They had to come off kind of the ridge that they played on, and not even with like maybe with 10 nades, let's just put it that way. But it's extremely hard. When you're in a 4 versus 3 in this situation, it's just impossible for them. So Twisted Minds here with 20. Good to see Ascend up there. They're kind of holding on to that chance there. I believe they're going to be like 6 to 8 points outside the top 8 right now. So it's looking really good for Ascend. Really proud of what they've been able to pull off today.
Let's take a look now at that leaderboard, Saga, and of course a big change up once again. I love the fact that after every game we're seeing this change. It just shows how close the competition is.
And every single game it gets closer and closer as that bell curve starts to flatten out. Now 12 points separating 4th place from 11th place. There's 3 teams within that gap that isn't going to make it, and even potentially 4 if Sarvum can continue the form of like taking clean fights against Na'Vi. If they can do a little more of that in the final couple of games, they could throw their names into the mix as well. 12 points away is a gap that's possible to close in 2 games if they can pick up a win. But realistically, we're looking at BBL, we're looking at DA and Ascend as the teams that currently are not quite making the cut. But the first hurdle they have to get past is MTB, and they really have not been able to replicate the success that they had on day 1 so far today. So they really need to step it up, because as it stands, they are teetering on the edge.
We've got 2 games left, and then we will know the first 8 teams joining us at the PEC Spring Grand Finals. And of course, if you want to get into even more action, maybe Twitch chat's not enough for you, then head on over to Twitter. Eliza has taken over the Pubg Esports account. You can go and interact with her, chat to her. She's posting some fun clips as well, so make sure that you engage. And of course, we have prizes as well, like I've mentioned, if you use that hashtag PEC Spring. So lots to win. But you know what? I think we all want to see what's about to go down. We're getting to that point where we can finally see who those top 8 teams are. So no more talking. Let's get straight back into game. Over to Kylaris and Toby. I just lost all my words. That's how excited I am about Erangel. Go figure.
That's me and Toby. Woo, we're here and good to go for this next game. It's the penultimate game, Toby, here to determine all of these teams moving on forwards, and it is damn close, way too close to call right now.
Yeah, even closer than I thought it was going to be coming into it. I mean, since we did see, at least coming into today, somewhat of a gap, especially in that mid-pack of teams, that has been completely mitigated with some of the teams that didn't really perform on day 1 now starting to make their way up the leaderboard. So we are definitely in for a good 2 final days, or games, I should say, of the upper bracket.
And we have 2 final days as well after this, because we have that lower bracket, which is going to be super fun to see, because that's going to be an absolute bloodbath, because 8 of those teams are done in the next 2 days after this has concluded. So there's plenty more PUBG action coming at you throughout this day, as well as the next 2 days coming up. But over to Erangel we're going to be going, and so far so good for those teams up towards the top. There's not a huge amount to be able to extract from what they're able to do in these next 2 games. We're really looking at that barrier now that sits at 8th place.
One thing that has me kind of intrigued, I would say, is that we're seeing, at least I feel like I'm seeing many more early disruption attempts in the games here than we would have seen in the beginning of last year. I mean, first thing that comes to mind is FaZe. The amount of times they've tried to set up traps, bridge camps, roadblocks, whatever you want to call it, already over the last 2 days is more than I've seen from most teams over the span of all of 2022. And I like the idea that you do it now, you do it early while teams are still trying to figure out what their game plan is. You do it for 1 tournament. And believe you me, for the rest of the year, if you go up against those teams again, they are going to be hesitant They're going to be second guessing every single time they make a rotation in your direction. And I think the result of it, regardless of whether you succeed or not, is just going to be you getting more space because of it.
Yeah, the knock-on effects, the butterfly effect of the ripples that it sends through the lobby, especially for those teams that are susceptible to it, those teams that find themselves on having to go through bridges or having to go through those narrow choke points that Miramar creates. It's definitely something that's scary. But for now, as we see everybody dropping on down, I mean, the interesting thing is as well is that there's a lot of other options you can take than going through the bridges or those narrow paths of traversal. But it just means that you have to take longer doing it. And even that is another knock-on effect if you want to take a ferry, if you want to go to the other bridge, etc.
Exactly. Ferry. You don't see them used too much. No. You happen every now and again. Ooh. Well, this time around, they might just come into play. Because here we go. Ferry galore, boats galore, whatever you want. You have to make your way at least with like a... We're doing Martin's maths. He likes to put numbers on things to make it sound like he's very exact. I'm giving it like an 80 to an 82% chance of ending on military. Where do you sit on the percentages?
I'm gonna go slightly higher than that.
Yeah. Maybe a 88% chance then.
Yeah, I'm gonna Price is Right you. At least 81% chance, okay?
Did you know that 80% of all statistics are made up on the spot to make the person saying them sound smarter?
Unfortunately, yes. It's yeah. I try not to do it myself, but you know what? You seem to. So.
I feel like we're getting called out enough on the disc that we can jab back every now and again, and this was my one time. Sam knows that I'm usually the one like avoiding those confrontations, but I got one, and that was it right there. There you go.
There it was. And as we take a look down to the bottom of this map, we already see question mark set up good in a backup, and then we also have Ascend being very swift on their move down here. They don't want any of the shenanigans that may go down as a bridge fights ensue.
And for good reason, because here comes Savim as taken out of the former Team Liquid book. When you loot Pachinki, insta make your way to military when that circle pops. That's what they're doing. Are they going to stop and scout anything prior? Are they just going to full speed send it? We'll have to wait to find out. Speaking of Liquid, at least formally so, Clip finds Vixen. First player seen, first player down.
Rather unfortunate just to be caught off like that.
So far away from the circle.
Yeah. You're not like the one building that you rock up to. There's somebody there, good to go. Ascend is not in a position where they can fully camp this, so Savim's just going to blast on past, and then this is the usual path people take up to the right, onto this hill, try and traverse elsewhere.
Yeah, especially now that you see the team on the other side. No reason to try and contest anything. Just try and wrap around, make your way further forward. And to kind of just go back very briefly to that whole GD Clip situation we just saw, those are things that will happen. They look weird. They look, for some Twitch chat viewers, maybe somewhat stupid. Like, why would you pull up in the compound where there's another guy already? That is the kind of the tell of early on in the year. There are just so many changes coming in. Teams are setting their kind of their perimeters now of the loot spots, of the split positions. Ooh, the double Bison drop is not something you see too often, but they rock that. And in the meantime, speaking of positions where you would normally not see teams fight, here's a bridge camp in Georgepol.
Yeah, I think with M-Force having telegraphed quite heavily that their usual backup is not too much the foot. With a lot of previous WTSG members rocking up on it, are going to be able to control this area effectively and then be able to take them out.
Yeah, M-Force from heroes to potential zeros. Here's Beamy, finds one, Rafa falls down. Now Ribbons is all that remains of the M-Force roster here in the nearby vicinity. Not really too much he can do in this position.
Very early on in terms of a wipe as well here. Before that 10-minute mark, we all know what that usually means. But we have GDE now moving way past Rozok here. A few shots coming out against them. With eventually Digital Athletics are going to have to move. And the more teams that they let past them is the more teams that they have to get past themselves later on.
Yeah. I mean, with the way that DA's been playing this one so far, they haven't really seemed to be in much of a hurry to go anywhere. So the fact that they stay around for a little while longer, take those shots towards GD, I don't think it's going to matter too much to them. In the meantime, now, MTB, what are you laughing at?
FaZe is on the bridge again.
I mean, of course they are.
Yes!
Why wouldn't they be? This is FaZe now. This is their thing. Have you ever heard of FaZe camping? That's formerly known as bridge camping. That is just what they do now.
There it is. Love it.
And again, commit to it for one tournament and you don't have to do it again because you've already kind of infiltrated the mind of your opposing teams in the lobby.
Yeah, it does set a precedent for the later tournaments. So you're going to have to constantly be careful, constantly cautious. And with a team like FaZe especially, with the fact that they usually control that Milta area, and unless you get into like the internationals and another team comes and pushes them out of it, like that is in the back of your mind constantly as a MEA forever.
Oh no. GDE running from fight to fight to fight. Now just casually going down to take a boat, but they should see that there's a jeep parked on the shoreline. And that's normally an indicator that someone's around here and kills the now.
What an angle.
Just a angle, Spiro. Well, as free as they come.
Okay, Twisted Minds is feeling it. A great angle on the left-hand side. Doesn't realize exactly how close Ice Boy is. So once this smoke goes away, or he goes a little bit higher on this, he's going to see him instantly. Goes for the turn. Oh, and Ice Boy saw him first. But Spiro gets the trade-off.
He had no right of winning that battle.
No.
Ice Boy missing shots where he shouldn't have. Not that it would have mattered a whole in the end, because the entire team was collapsing on the position. So probably wouldn't even have gotten the flush in the end of it. But that is going to be GDE out in 16th place. Math. Woohoo.
Nice, well done. And Lucarux is practicing for the future, as you can see here, with the cheeky mutant.
The mutant meta. But he's playing it wrong. Mutant is going to be the AR.
Yeah, true.
You're going to play mutant MK. That's going to be the new meta.
You can mega tap with an 8 times, you know?
Probably could, yeah. Probably could.
I'm okay with this.
For those of you guys who don't know, just give it like a month or two, and then come back and watch this clip. You will know then.
A terrifying prospect, I think is fair to say.
Mutant meta. Interesting though. Lucarux. Well, the mutant ain't meta just yet. Has his M4 in hand. Pushes up close. Second team to be eliminated before the 8-minute mark. M4's falls ribbons. Well, he tried as best as he could. In the end, fell short.
What a successful camp for them over in South George. Global Army successful on the nade though. Against Lucarux, QBE is spotted against that tree and he's going to actually have to fall back to another tree. Thank God he has a second tree if he wants to keep moving at all. But Nail Up shuts down Global Army from this left-hand side. And now the rest of Sarvum's coming to reinforce.
Yeah, GD not really in a position to take this fight head on. So daring from Global Army to peek on over for the flush. But paid the price. Yes, he gets the point, but it comes at a very costly price of a player. And then we're looking at GDE. Bison UMP. Now that is a meta I was not prepared for.
That's a very different meta.
That is we rotated too early, boys meta.
Yes. I guess we'll play with what we've got and then cry into your hands.
Yep. Well, you know, if there's a place for a fight with a Bison and a UMP, I guess it is up close. So if they can lure them towards the buildings, then who knows? Maybe the 9 mils will come out victorious.
It ain't the worst. I like that the Bison has limited recoil, and but all of these guys can control recoil so well, so it's not exactly got the best value to it.
We'll see. Maybe there's someone from Entropic running around with no vest on, and therefore he will win.
Yeah.
But I highly doubt that's going to be the case. You can see CC looking for more info, spotting Ivers, or at least hearing him down below. I think now, if you're Sabim here, you have to start considering whether you should stick around or maybe. Yeah, again, like, do you want to lure them in, or do you want to just not be able to do anything because Entropic is set right below your compound?
That was a low moo, like you were like mooing like a cow for a second there.
Yeah, I can do that sometimes.
Yeah, it's crazy, wild stuff. Actually, that circle's not kind to these players right now.
It really isn't. It really isn't. Twisted Minds, having just crossed on over here, reaps the rewards. They'll get down to, if they want, at least the shoreline compound, and back up towards Sabim and Entropic. I think it's a stalemate for a while, and honestly, I'm not sure Sabim has a whole lot to gain. I mean, yes, of course, they have the compound to gain, don't get me wrong, but whether it's worth the risk, I'm not quite sure, because Salvim are kind of playing their hands close to their body here, not giving them a whole lot to go off of.
Considerable barrier in points as well, as Salvim and Entropic are technically close to each other in the standings, but not in the points. There's like a 13-point gap between them. So Entropic's got so much room to make up here in these last two games if they want to hope to get into that top 8, but will be difficult. Na'Vi in a little bit of a stalemate here against Ascend, and I'm wondering if they can find any more angles, because it looks like Ascend's slowly backing off from this, and I think that's quite wise, because otherwise you just sit here for so long doing nothing with it.
Yeah, Chris is trying to regroup with his 2 teammates on the other side. No reason for him to try and single-handedly hold back the world champions. In the meantime, now Entropic, they've made up their mind. They want to push forward, or at least kind of. They try to push forward a little bit. And I think now is where the time is also starting to tick for them, because while there's no one currently south of them, I think they realize that, great, there's no one south because everyone is in the middle of doing that long southern wrap. And eventually, we will get shot in the butt if we don't make a play soon.
Gotta do something. Gotta do something here. DA is doing a very good job about stalling them out, but at the same time, it could come with their own demise. One player, Metralius, being smoked up. This was a great smoke transition from him to get back to the rest of his team. It was looking a little bit dire if you get caught out. But in the kill feed, Nailub's taking the fight to Sarvam. And Baron Peak trying to react to the best he can with this 2 times on the ump to try and make this work. Bless them. Oh.
The Bison failed. We'll see if the UMP can do better. A lot of utility being used here, but with a big reward potential. Nice nade over the top of the building. Voldemort sends one more. I saw that as if it came down as artillery from above, having been lobbed above the building. I think that was the case. Maybe the second nade wasn't. In any case, QB is down. Now it's a 2v2.
Entropic can't afford to lose any more here if they want to keep their hopes alive during it. And there's going to be the molly going in. Ibis goes down. This is terrible here for Entropic as Nailub manages to catch Baron Peak. It's all on you, Nailub. What can you do here against Voldemort? 1v1 coming around the corner. Might see him through the windows of the car here as he comes around. Voldemort gets him on the peak. Oh, lovely stuff by Voldemort.
The triple from Voldemort. Pubg Esports. They are just not looking to stop here. First they take down Na'Vi last game without any casualties. And yes, they take casualties here. But Entropic up close, that is not an easy team to fight against. And yet they prevail, only losing 1. Now, though, well, more people have joined the party as both Twisted Minds from the north and MTB from the south has pulled up on the hills.
Yeah, 2 teams looking for the mop-up is so dire for Sarvam, unfortunately. As we now have another circle shift going, it will center up exactly in this previous circle whilst we're watching this fight about to potentially unfold. Twisted Minds is backing off. They realize that another team rocked up. They can't dislodge the 2 remaining. They don't want any of it.
I mean, look at the map. They have, like, they literally have a free buffet of compounds north of them. There's no reason for them to risk something for a south side compound that might not even be inside the next
Absolutely.
circle. So go down on the ridges, take your shoreline compound, and chill there. In the meantime, Turkey, or I mean, the north side of Sosnovka, is trying to figure out how all 3 teams can cross this bridge without taking each other out.
The nation of Turkey, yes. That's okay. They can try. They can try. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be fraught with danger. DA looks almost as if they are planning a swim. Do they have a boat?
I hope so, because that swim across
They do.
not going to be. Nope, there's a boat. I see them all in there.
Woo!
And they have a turret on it too. Let's see if Lou spots one. Whoa, okay, take shots while you.
Get out of there.
That is a strategy I don't see utilized too often. We'll see if that comes to bite them or if they get a safe passage across. I think somebody went like, "Stop shooting! What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And they stopped shooting, and now, well, they made their way across.
I mean, admittedly, this is the safest transition they could have ever got. This is great.
Yeah.
Aside from the shots, which was a bit of a red flag, but other than that,
couldn't ask for a whole lot more. Only really have Twisted Minds to deal with. And this, of course, part of the reason why is that with Foot and BPL set up on the west side, everyone has been wrapping in from the east. I mean, Quart 2 has literally lapped the entire island. They came from Milta Power and have sailed all the way to the west coast.
Yeah, I feel like aside from them making landfall just before and theorizing whether or not they were going to push up, I feel like they've spent the whole game in a boat. No, this is a bit too north. Maybe. Where are we going?
Oh, wrong island, guys. Oh, they saw the crate. They saw the crate.
Yeah, the issue that lies for them now is that DA is just right there.
And
what are we going to do?
You can't really fault Court 2 for not knowing that there's 2 teams on the other side. So I think what they're doing is stop here. Yep, exactly. Stop here. Even jump in the water, but go on the island, scout south. They're coming in completely blind on this side of the map, essentially.
What a terrifying prospect, though. Like, I feel like you're almost Jack Sparrow and you've got to lash a couple of sea turtles together to try and get onto the island. And even then, you're going to get shot at by the rest of the pirates that have already got all the treasure. This is not easy for them.
The good thing for Quad 2, though, had to hit a few more shots there, is they actually caught DA in the midst of running up the beach. So there was a chance for them to maybe get something. BB now, in the meantime, full speed forward he goes. Shift key to the bottom as he tries to come to the aid of his friends. So far, no casualties for Pubg Esports in this battle. As Clip and Rustenmar, I think, just have to concede this one.
How quickly before this gets clipped by the Pubg Esports social media manager and thrown onto Twitter?
It's done already. It's already.
Oh, no. Oh,
they don't need more than a single kill. Every kill gets clipped and sent on to Twitter.
Rapid fire there. And speaking of rapid fire, Clip goes down as well. This is a disaster for BBL. But even then, Foot has to still get on the island.
Yeah. It ain't done. They sure get a couple of points. 7 kills already, and still quite a long way to placement points. They don't know where Rustin Ma is doing now. Well, you know what? Why not add some more teams to this hilltop?
Jeez.
The 5th team to try and come up and contest Savim here, making their presence known as Nixie runs up forward.
They're just trying to live a quiet life, and everyone keeps trying to ruin their little house. This is
best location, best price per square meter, and everyone wants a piece of it.
And they don't have to work with an Uzi anymore. Sorry, I mean, I don't.
Yeah, or Bison for that matter.
Yeah,
nope, they have managed to stock up some better utility. That nade outside is going to feed the info across. Instantly met by a headshot in return, though. Chrissy wanting to jump on the roof. Not sure how much he'll be able to see inside with that, but at least outside he'll spot what he needs to. Beamy finds Rusted Master. That's BBL out on the northern side. And yep, that's going to be Savim out as well.
Love taking the roof to just absolutely catch them in. Properly difficult for Savim to do anything. Now FaZe having a bit of a problem here against a few that are assailing position. After all is going for a joyride, but now Man Negative as well is quite low. If this nade hits, a bit to the left, and he finishes it anyway. After all, down 11th.
Down in 11th they go. Again, sat there in 7th right now. They looked great yesterday, finished the day in 5th, but now, with all the teams down below continuing to rack up points, that 7th place spot might not be a 7th place spot for much longer.
Na'Vi still controls a lot of the road, so for Esports, what are you going to do? They're trying to come in, as is usually tradition and customary, coming in on and turning right straight away after they get over that bridge and trying to go up the hill, which actually they might be able to find some room with, so that might work out for them.
They should be able to. Curious to see if Na'Vi is going to try and push up on them, or if they're opting to sit down below and at least wait out this circle, because they must have, or will for sure, have heard the vehicles pulling up. You can see Uba trying to get an angle towards Pubg Esports, but also well aware that Ascent is on the other side. Did you just make a cat sound?
No, it was a howl, not a meow. But how has Quad 2 got on the land here? Now, I mean, it's going to be really difficult for them to do anything from here. The fact that Foot, as well as Twisted Minds, knows exactly where they are, but...
That's how they got there. They smoked off the entire beach.
Nice. Well,
and now they have no more smokes.
And now no more transitions.
Maybe they can get some from after all. They left 10 of them on that hillside on Miramar.
Did they? Good. We'll go all the way back there on a boat. But unfortunately for them, they're not going to get much chance to do that because Vard and the boys really sticking it to them here. Even Maud, unfortunately, gets knocked by the blue. No room for them to work with.
Yeah, not at all. They are pretty much just cannon fodder at this point, and down they fall. At least the kills are split in between 3 different teams. So, you know, sharing is caring. Nice for them. Tools in the meantime trying to contain Beam and Pubg Esports in their kind of transition further forward. And with the knock onto T-Bone, they're actually pushing out of the compound. But look at Na'Vi doing the exact same thing from the other side.
Yeah, this is perfect by Na'Vi because they know that this team had to have been slow moving up this hill after getting across the bridge. There's no way you can make a big send through this area without getting shot out by about 100 teams. But for now, Na'Vi is going to try and capitalize on this extensively. Lou has to retreat back, realizing Na'Vi's coming across the ridge as well.
Exactly. They thought, wait, we can take this fight. And yeah, not quite the case because the world champions are coming over the hillside. And, well, they're here. They've most definitely forced Twisted Minds to think better of it.
It's a great spot to take for Na'Vi as well. Whilst they're taking the rest of these fights, they'll see some loot down there. If they see the rest of Twisted Minds move away, they could even get themselves a little bit of loot. But, I mean, the circle is encroaching now, so it's probably best not to get yourself into that circle. You've already got the anchor there. Maybe eventually you're going to have to take this fight with Twisted Minds, but for now, they've got a spot to play.
This is a, looking at Fex now in the kind of 2-1 split that FaZe has got going. Very fragile split. They're trying to maneuver. You can see Fex spotting players. I'm not sure what it's going to take for him to start taking shots, because if he does, I mean, that rock is only granting him so much cover, and Teams is isolated on the other side. So it's a weird split where Corexi is trying to defend Teams is trying to defend Corexi, and Fex has to gather info, but can't really do a whole lot from that position because he's so exposed from behind.
Yeah, tough. They're hoping some external influences help them here with a split like this. It's not all in their hands, as nades will rain down on Twisted Minds' location. They already see that the drive away is going on. Nades way too short, unfortunately, and Melman gets taken down by Lou, but the trade goes on with Alia taking him down, and the kill feed's lighting up.
Yep, everything's lit on fire. MTB and Wu on the southern side starting their brawl, going one way and one way only to the elimination of MTB. In the meantime, remaining Wu players looking further towards the north to try and prevent DA from making their way further inside the circle.
Ooh. Still a nice rooftop here, considering that they have no threats coming from their backside. They can easily just use that Combustor for a while here while still in the circle and have easy pickings of a lot of the players moving around below it, as long as you're just able to duck back and not get completely headshot into oblivion.
Yeah. The fact that Ascent still has a say in, like, kind of how the flow of this match is going as well is really impressive too, because they were kind of caught in the open, lost one in their two-way split, and then able to kind of reinforce the south side position, get back to 3 on their feet, and now actually push up and potentially take out Na'Vi on the hillside. That would net them a lot of space too, especially now that the hillside itself, where Wu is going to be shifted out from next circle.
And a threat that's been looming is that DA has been playing this very slow on that west side. Yes, they've got themselves 4 kills, but they're still 4 alive, and still they're in the least danger right now, I feel, in terms of like the threats, the fights that could potentially go on. You know, of course, Na'Vi and Ascend very close to one another. The Wu and Question Mark, one of them's going to have to dislodge the other, and then DA later on might be able to creep in here.
Crucial that Uber spots Ascend kind of sneaking up that hillside there now. I mean, Example, you can see Example is still looking down towards DA. He knows that the moment we give up just any one of these 2 angles, we're going to be sandwiched. I feel like Na'Vi has to, and it's hard to do, obviously, when you're only 2 alive, but they have to commit to an angle to say, you know what, screw it, let's push him, let's see what we can do, because we have to get inside the circle. And I think right now, by playing passive, they're hoping that one of the 2 sides will get fought from somewhere else. But now, the push from Ascent is coming in. Nades to follow. Let's see what Na'Vi can do about this.
There's potentially, you might have got a read on exactly where that nade came from, and actually does a huge amount of damage with that nade, as well as the spray coming in. Sees him through the fire, and Kiliakaya's Chris actually peeks on up, gets Uber down alongside Brexco. Example, though, got Brexco for his troubles. Now it's all an Example. He is the god of PUBG. What's he going to be able to do here?
1 nade is thrown, and in an instant, the kill feed lights up like fireworks on New Year's Eve. Everyone just waited for that moment to trigger what they were planning to do all along. And now, Brexco might be able to get rest here, but that would require for Chris and Kiliakai to execute on this very, very fast Example. Finds the first, almost gets the second. I thought there for a second that was what happened. Almost eats and Molly there too, but not quite the case. Can he get in from a Not going to happen. Great shots from Kiliakai to prevent Na'Vi from staying alive, but oh my lord, was that close.
Brilliant stuff by Kiliakai, and he even used It's Chris's body as a kind of a lure almost, a bit of a bait, for example, and even some cover to a certain degree. So that was brilliant. by Ascend to finish that off and still stay alive. Yes, it's not like the game-winning play, but staying alive is all that is required against a team like Na'Vi.
Sure is. Sure is. And now, well, they're inside the circle. And good thing for them is they have enough cover up there with the car. Don't drive away now. Thank you, Kilikai. With the car, with the smokes, that DA, even if they wanted to, I don't think they can push this angle because both Wu and potentially not to him, but Wu at least should be able to spot them. Ascent, though, they don't like this position despite being inside the circle. They're sending it forward, and I can only imagine to their own death. And yes, indeed, they will fall. Chris slamming the vehicle into the rock. He goes down with the damage because of it. Phase fall as well. But just before Ascent. So Ascent claiming 4th place, a few extra placement points, or 1 extra at that. And now, just 3 teams left alive.
A quiet game of DA is working out at the moment. It is definitely working out. Although that being said, the other 2 teams not really been quiet. The Wu has been shooting at everything, and Question Mark's been trying to clean up what they could on their side of the circle too. Quizzy, probably quite warm at the moment, coming around this left-hand side. Ibby as well as who's left alive on them. Is it Besto? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, down towards the south. The thing is, Quizzy will hear this, but it's very limited what Bestelok can really do to kind of suppress DA, because he has to worry about all of Question Mark on the other side. But the best thing is happening in the world for Wu right now, and that is what they're seeing here in the kill feed and hearing on the other side of the map. Question Mark taking the fight to DA. Now they can sandwich. Now they get the third-party opportunity. DA has to fall back and fortify, and while this is happening, Quizzy will be able to sneak his way further forward. There's no way Iroh can stay on this angle while his team is being fought from the other side.
Saw the jump, saw the pixels through the grass as well. Molly comes out. He realizes exactly where he is as well. Has to fall on back from that nade. Wait, he got him with the shots. Oh my. Iroh. Wow.
Absolutely insane. Quizzy explodes for a second, and Iroh finds the second. They're being pushed on 2 fronts, and Iroh says, don't worry, guys. I handle these guys if you can just deal with Question Mark. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Metralius able to find Bubba. Doozy and Phil first, though, still alive.
Iroh still got it, man. Constantly being able to put on the pressure. Gets a doozy as well. Now he's in the fireline line, but he's actually finished off Ibby while all of this has been going on. This is an opportunity for DA to absolutely plow the rest of the lobby. If they can just finish off Question Mark, the threat that they pose.
DA is the team that is being pushed from both sides. They have no right to be the victors of this brawl. That nade, a bit too short. Damage mitigated by the rock. Bill first lives to see another fight. I mean, how long will he stay put? So many flashbangs being used here.
Yeah, he's going to be blind. The problem is, for DA to a degree, is Philfirst is a bit of a prodigy. This kid is amazing at the game, but that is going to land. Philfirst actually finds Mert through the smokes and is actually going to be able to shut it on down here. Iroh manages to finally take out Hobbits during all this. Philfirst.
Oh, Bestelog is going to ruin him for him.
Yeah.
Completely ruin it. Philfirst spins.
A prodigy.
180 gets him down. What?
Ridiculous. Iroh finishes it off here, but Philfirst, the fact that he was able to spin on a pinhead with that and then keep DA at bay during it for a good portion of time. What a game.
That was phenomenal. From a somewhat quiet mid-phase to a absolutely insane end game and so many individual performances. Iroh, DA, no right to come up victorious there, but oh my lord, did they stand their ground.
All right, well, that was the penultimate game. Back to the desk after this break, and when we return, it's the final game of the day.
guys. They stopped. They looting the fucking bridge, bro.
Yeah, yeah, just wait, just wait.
They're coming now. One's coming. One's on my right side.
Low on me, low on me.
One knocked. He's driving back.
Last one's driving away.
Houses can see us here.
On me. Yeah, you. On me. Below me.
Oh.
Goes right, T-Bell.
Maybe in the houses, the rest.
In the smoke. Middle smoke.
7 bullets.
He's in the open.
What?
Rocks at least? So the rocks in the zone there.
I took the guy on me.
Go.
Knocked.
Yeah, let's just drive. Just drive.
Go. Where's the last one?
He's the orange line somewhere.
Yeah, he is. He's on my next catwalk.
Yeah.
He doesn't know about me, I think.
It's exactly on orange.
Drive, baby.
He's peeking now, he's peeking. Hit his leg.
Just drive and kill him. He can't shoot you. You can just come up there.
Still same place. Hit twice. 3 times.
Yeah.
Shit.
I need to get up.
Ooh. Can you peek the roof from the shack? Can you hold the roof? I'll kill him. Can you hold the roof?
Need a rock on green.
Yeah.
No,
You're not on, it seems.
I don't know. I don't know where the far guys are.
You should blue died, right?
As you get to watch the highlights from that last game, Digital Athletics taking the chicken dinner, and Saga, I didn't expect that. I mean, if they can have one more of those, they may just finish in the top 8.
I think they might just be doing that anyway, but I think it's fair to say that given their position and the point where the map was looking a little like Istanbul, separating 2 separate continents with Turkey on the northern side, it did look pretty rough for Digital Athletics to have a way to get across, with BBL so aggressively looking to hold the bridge camp against Foot, which, side note, didn't really work out. But for Digital Athletics, getting the boat across, and then they took full control of the western side, played it slow. Once again, the tempered aggression, different from the DA of old, where it was just running it down, really working out in their favor.
Working out in their favor. Also, the Wu obviously looks like they've qualified for the top 8 Avenger, and they've had a really good start to 2023 here at PEC Spring.
Yeah, they were able to build on the foundation that they had last year, and they're able to build just further here. So really good to see from them. Unfortunately, Filfers kind of destroyed a little bit of a top 2 dream for them in that case. What a play question mark was able to have, and Filfers was able to clutch in the situation. Still, Digital Athletics, like, I love the play that they did. Clever, the way that they stopped, the way that they moved on to the western side, took control. Still 11 kills. Yeah, they were passive, maybe passive aggressive, in a way where it was super smart, kind of going in and out in some of the fights where they're still able to close out a lot of fights, staying a lot of guys alive, and also Iroh just absolutely smashing so many long to mid-range shots there with them. Forrest, really loved it to see.
We're taking a look at the scoreboard now.
Ooh.
This is how that last game played out. And Avengers oohing and eyeing. What's up?
I mean, I can woo and I can digital eyeing. No, yeah, of course, a lot of points.
Noises.
Not just don't make cat noises or howling or whatever Calaris is doing. Oh, 21 points for them. This is huge. This is going to move them into the top 5. This is really good. And Wu solidifying their top in the top 4 here with the 15 points. Question mark continuing to do really great here. They're undeniably one of the strongest squads right now in the EMEA region. It's really good to see that they're able to continue after their dominance last year in the region. They're able to continue that here for the start of the year.
So we're moving into the final game, and at the end of that, we will know which 8 teams are going to the grand finals. Yesterday, we said that 68 was the sweet spot if you wanted to make the top 8. Saga, are we sticking with that number, or do we think it's going to be higher?
It's going to be damn close to it, that's for sure. I'm not even 100% sure that if Twisted Minds went out this game with 0 points that we could safely say that they're in. That's how tight it is, considering the fact that there is 2 teams who are 1 point away from the top 8 qualification. It's really, really tough, and coming down to essentially a best of one for teams like Afterold, MTB, and Ascend, especially the first two who haven't really had the best of days today. It's a lot of pressure on their shoulders to perform and avoid going into the lower bracket now.
Safe to say, Avenger, that Pubg Esports and Na'Vi are definitely through, but for the rest of the teams, it's still standing on thin ice, trying to figure out how this last game will go down.
I would actually say, to this point here, I would say FaZe Clan is actually safe. 76 points. It's going to be impossible for 3 teams to pass that, unless it's like absolutely perfectly lining up with, you know, the correct teams getting double-digit kills and end up in the top 3. I would say at this point, FaZe Clan in the 6th place with 76 points going to be safe. Twisted Minds 69, Afterall 64, Ascend 63, MTB 63. Those teams, and also even BBL and 59. Those 5 teams are going to be the ones fighting for the last 2 spots.
So realistically, 2 more spots up for grabs as we move into the final Erangel. And for the final time, we're heading on over to Kylaris and Toby.
Thank you very much. It is serious time now, although I did think Avenger was going to read off the entire scoreboard there for a moment. I was hoping you would just keep going and going and going, but not to be the case. Let's get serious, Toby, because it is so damn close at that cutoff. After Alt's in danger.
I was just gonna say, the team on the cusp right now, 1 point ahead of MTB and Ascent after all. Of all the teams, I'm usually not really good at making memes and whatnot for Twitter, but I feel like there's a pretty easy one to make should after all not qualify. That only involve 2 images, a scoreboard and a screenshot of some point during today's broadcast.
You're not going to specify which. I understand.
No.
Yes.
That is for chat to find out by themselves. It's going to be a deep dive into like multiple hours worth of broadcast. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, getting into this last one, MTB, it's been a big fall as well, unfortunately, for them. They had a great day yesterday, 51 points. Now they sit on only 63. So really 12 points going their way across 5 games. It's not good enough here, but they're still in with a shot because it is so close, Toby.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's kind of interesting comparing today to yesterday on there, like in regards to them, because they're doing a lot of the same things, and a lot of the rotations are really working out for them. But I think where they're falling down today that they succeeded in yesterday is the execution of fights. They're constantly getting third-partied, not because they're fighting in different areas than they were in yesterday, but because they're simply taking too long. Yesterday, they were so good at executing a fight, getting it over with, reset, get ready for the fight to come, and in doing so, getting a ton of kills coming their way. Now, because the fights drag out a bit too long, you see time and time again, within 35 seconds of the first bullet having been fired, 3 other teams are shooting at you as well, and MTB just kind of get caught in the crossfire of all of this every single game today. So I think that's a big part of it. The teams have maybe gotten better at just kind of preventing them from steamrolling them.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to agree. If you think about some of the big names that have been able to move from the bottom of the table to the top 8, it's your teams like FaZe and Twisted Minds who weren't having that much. I mean, aside from 1 win from FaZe yesterday, let's be real, all the other games were a disaster. So comparing that day to today, now FaZe and Twisted Minds are suddenly having more impact on the lobby. That's going to probably impact a team like MTB if they're able to find success prior and not now. And yeah, that's not easy to contend with.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the first 4 games today, FaZe got more points than they got in all 6 of yesterday, right? So there's a clear difference in how they've been able to perform. But also, while we can say it about, Twisted Minds, because it's been the same lineup since forever, that they are, as Martin said as well, a second-day team or a team that needs a little material to get going. While we've been able to say that about FaZe in the past, this new FaZe is a whole different lineup. So anything we would ever kind of consider to be the FaZe thing is now out the window. And who knows, maybe this roster as well is just one that, while we know they're incredibly good when the stars align, they need a bit of time to get going as well. Because yesterday, even with the win, they're much better looking today.
New, and as you say, not exactly regular either, with them not only taking multiple camps, but converting on those multiple camps that we've seen them go for. It's rare that you see back to back camp on bridges or choke points, and then it work out for you, and then you are able to get into the circle, because oftentimes you'll get nothing, or you'll even lose the fight, or you won't get to the circle early enough to be able to get somewhere nice. But FaZe has been able to do well on multiple of them. That's nice.
Yep, not really too fussed with trying to to claim real estate early, and for good reason. A lot of the circles haven't really been ones where there's a reason for them to attempt it anyway. Even the circles that they could have gone too early, for example, a military circle here that's in their usual drop spot area, there were enough teams already on military that, I mean, you're just potentially running into your death early on, because no matter how good you are, if it's a, wait, do I get the gun or you get one, anyone with the ability to point the mouse and click it can kill the other guy.
All right, let's get to it. The final game of the upper bracket. Get top 8 or you are going down to the lower. And for a plane path to start off like this for our game, this means camps are less likely, but it also gives everyone ample opportunity to get to where they want to.
Imagine going back to melee again, just for the fun of it. Especially now there's no one there. That would be a fun way to end the day. We've had not too much repetitive terrain in the now 6 games we have seen on a rankle over the course of the upper bracket. So curious to see where this final match is going to take us on the rankle side of things.
Yes, yes. Give us the answer soon, preferably, rather than later. We have now, of course, Foot being in South George and Enforce not going to North George.
Oh,
bit of a shame that they didn't.
And actually, speaking of Enforce, look at the split. Ribbons is all the way down in Lumber.
Yeah.
You have Rafa loading the compound west of Lipovka, and then you have Veronica on his way to Yasnaya. That is a solid 2 kilometer kind of pearls on a string setup they've got going. And I wouldn't mind it so much in terms of the distance if it wasn't because they're kind of nestled in between 4 teams.
It's quite interesting because I feel like this is like their really backup drop out of everything. So we'll see if they can make it work. I think they're all going to just regroup north and go wide around. But that's going to be probably similar for some of the other teams on the east side as well. So maybe we'll see a little bit of conflict in that regard. I think Enforce, out of all the teams, is probably more keen to try and make that rotate earlier due to the fact that they're in not only a very split scenario, but also not much loot scenario.
Not much loot. Nope. It's even with esports settings and you technically been able to loot pretty much everywhere, there are still some areas that are just not as good. And for Sabe, well, that's not the case at all. They got Pachinki. How long has it been since we haven't seen the same, if not players, then at least org in this city in EMEA? It's
that's wild, isn't it? To think about.
Maybe there's like some wise guy out there in the chat who knows this date-wise. When did the former Liquid team start looting Pachinki? Like, how long has it actually been since a not them looted here?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say 2019.
I was gonna say 19 as well.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna try, nor do I know the exact facts.
That is a guess.
I'm not gonna try to look it up now since we are kind of on a broadcast and casting game.
Kind of busy, yeah. You're right, Toby.
Stuff. Yeah. We are busy entertaining the world with what is the best region in all of PUBG playing video games.
It's a pretty good region. We got the world champions here. And look at that. Look at that, Toby. The world champions are number 1.
Best region confirmed. And it's true, Navi is proving me wrong game by game, and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it.
I think the main thing, I mean, aside from the tactical prowess and all that stuff, is just the sheer power of players like Example and Uber and Alia. And even, I mean, when you look at Melman as well, he got like 6 kills in that game, right? Like,
yeah.
Every single one of them is all-star. And you don't have to shush about that, man. That is a fact.
That is probably one of those where I'm not sure where it is on the map.
No, I'm not sure either.
I'm not sure. You were about to say that Millman wasn't the fragger on Navi, and that's why he shushed you. Because
fragger of the team.
Fragger of the team.
This is a silly inside joke that I shouldn't have brought to the forefront.
It is incredibly inside, but it's fun nonetheless. Seeing this circle again, I mean, a bit of a surprise for most that it goes this far north off of a somewhat southern plane path, but you have to go. I mean, and it's a 50-50 right now in terms of do you gamble south and north on speaking of the river, where it's gonna go. But right now, as we can see, far more teams are currently sat on the southern side. Of course, that many more places available to play from, as opposed to the north side, where you're kind of more what do you say? Not versatile, but what's the word for it? Able to spread out in the open in the forest sites, but don't really necessarily find yourself that hard cover. And I'm looking at the double crates up by Saki now. If I can go full circle and within 8 days get both a Millie Island ending, or sorry, a
8
island
days
on Miramar and a Saki ending.
True.
That would be a dream come true. Saki is the only ending I've never had on a Wrangle in casting PUBG. And this right here, my friends, is pretty much the portal to insanity that will be the end of this game, because we will end in Saki. It has been foretold by the crates. This was a ceremony for Saki. It doesn't get enough love, man. Why do you think we land? Like, why do you think we start there when we're looting? Because it does not get played at any other time of the game.
Yeah, I like starting there when you're looting, you know, just chilling out, you know, having a little fun, running around.
When you're in the lobby. Just
the lobby.
Yeah, you never go back there. So like we gotta get them here at some point. That's why Prison and Saki are the places you start.
I like
you're never there.
I like the little lighthouse that's up there that, you know, doesn't do anything, but
yeah,
exactly. You know, it's cool.
Let's end there. And while we're talking about things that have absolutely nothing to do with anything, the players are actually trying to qualify for a Grand Championship, a Grand Finals here of the PEC Spring Tournament. And after all, well, they managed to gap both M4s and now Twisted Minds as well. I say gap them or lap them. They are kind of surpassing, and yes, they have actually managed to force, you can see Perfectix, the front runner there, to turn around. It was a bit of a race, actually, but after all, able to win.
Yes, Toby making racing references. That's what I'm here for. Yep. Cars, fast things. If you paint it red, it goes faster. It's a fact.
Yeah. Did you not know?
It's orc logic. But anyway, we've got ourselves. Dogs are trying to take a few pot shots here at the Woo, who would love to paint their cars red, and the town red if they can find themselves a few kills here and there. And M4's got to be a bit careful about this. They are one of the teams that would have to do the most insane game, otherwise they are going to the lower bracket. So we can pretty much assume they're going to the lower bracket.
James, I like as much as anyone to build up the hype. But
I'm an optimist.
A 32 plus point game for M4s is. I'm not gonna. I don't dislike your optimism, but I'm more gonna want to mention them in the sense of they are here now to just disrupt the qualification prospects of everyone else.
Yeah.
Like while they have absolutely nothing to gain other than a potential 20 kill win, or more than that actually. But they can most definitely drag people down with them as they sink into low bracket.
Yeah, absolutely. They definitely could. In theory, we have Ko Marco as well seeing quad 2. We're just going to run on away. Again, another team with, unfortunately, no prospects. They've only had 10 points out of the 11 games they've played so far, which is absolutely disastrous. They're going to have to do a lot more in the lower bracket. But one thing's for sure, at the start of 2023 here, Toby, whilst we get this game properly rolling, is that the status quo of Europe, EMEA as a whole, has been shaken up once again, thanks to the fact of the Roster Apocalypse, thanks to the fact that the Turkish teams have picked up like non-Turkish players across the board. It's kind of crazy.
It really is, and I feel like even with this tournament, it's still too few. Like it's too small a sample to really know who's gonna be the kind of the kings of Europe for the year to come. That's I feel like because there has been so many, like it's not just one or two teams that have changed things up a bit. It's pretty much half the EMEA, like top part of the scene, that has massively changed things up, and in a very dire fashion, like teams getting completely picked apart and assembled anew. So I feel like one tournament won't really do justice to what some of these teams might be able to pull off.
Whilst we're looking at the circle, you know the wild thing about it? It's centered on the bridge. That is extremely rare. Extremely.
Yeah. It is as split as they come, really.
Yeah.
And
if you ever had hopes of getting your Zaki ending, this might be it.
This probably is the furthest northwest we can have a phase 1 go. If not, I mean, in terms of the
Oh, how beautiful.
We do need we need 2 more back-to-back Northwest hard shifts for this to happen, though. So let's give us the first one. You know what? We started off in a pretty fun one. Let's end off in a pretty fun one here as well. And we're headed to.
Jeez.
You know what? It's not Saki, but we'll take it. Because look here at the 13 teams who will not get inside this circle. have fun. After all, you're in 8th place right now. If you make it live into this circle, I'd be impressed. They're going to be wrapping east of Pachinki to get into this next circle.
And the bloodbath is going to begin here. This is big points actually for Digital Athletics. They're probably already qualified anyway, but this is, never mind. Navi is going to absolutely crash into this. Digital Athletics takes out the world champions. They go down in 16th, and this is the worst circle the teams have had to play in Phase 2, hands down across the 12 games.
Yeah, Melman, I thought for a second he was going to be able to pull off magic there, finding 2, but denied. And here comes Twisted. Does Spiro just... Oh, I wish he kind of just drove the car into the smoke to see what he could find. That's quite the case. Twisted Minds holding up DA. Yes, you get some kills, DA, but now you're the next ones to fall. As you said, the chaos commences, and it ain't done anytime soon.
Iroh falls into the water and is knocked. This is a disaster for them as well. What a start to this game. And again, it's all because of how this circle pops. And Blatulins is looking to finish off Metralius. He knows from the information that Perfectus has ended up giving him alongside Lou that he's around that area. Here comes the nade on the point here by Blatulins from the skies.
The heat-seeking missile, but credit where credit's due. DA looked like they were getting torn apart, but still managed to find 3 knocks on Twisted Minds. Not going to be enough, though. They will survive, and not only that, I would assume that they managed to actually get all 4 up alive again. You can see a small number 3 up in the left-hand corner of your screen next to the Pubg Esports logo. That is After All, currently in a boat, wrapping around the Cape Saki, trying to make their way down towards the southern side, but where the hell do they beach?
I don't know, man. The thing is that this is dire straits for After All. They are 1 point away from being eliminated here, effectively. All things considered, apart from the tiebreaks, etc. But looking at how this has played out so far, it's been a bit of a disaster day for them. They were looking fly yesterday, but it's not gone their way so far.
They're 1 point ahead of a team who's also, luckily for them, actually outside the circle right now, but also one team who is sat very comfortably in a pretty wide, well-controlled 2-way split in the middle. I don't see a world where after this game ends ahead of Ascent.
I think that's a fair assessment, because Ascend has been able to prove themselves in these kinds of splits and these kinds of central positions.
Yeah, and they're set very well. I mean, there's still a world where they just get pulled up on. They can just get collapsed on Ascent and kind of caught in a 2-way split and not be able to regroup fast enough. We've seen that happen before as well. Indecisiveness, or maybe greed to try and maintain a split for too long, having dealt with the team. And now, Wu, Faceland, taking this one against one another. Corexi finds one. Actually, no, it's going to be James and Fex to find 2. As Wu in trouble, to say the least.
Icing on the cake for FaZe, as Martin was alluding to on the desk. It feels like they are pretty much donezo into that top 8, considering 78 points is quite a stretch for 3 other teams to take them over in 6th place right now. But the Wu still not down and out just yet. FaZe is going to rally to the flanks and take down Ibi very quickly. And it's only Quizzy remaining, who's actually getting in some shots here, but he goes down. That's the Wu done, but they are through to the round of the top 8.
Yeah, exactly. Phase 3 pops, and boringly enough, didn't have to shift away from water, but does so anyway. Pretty much just giving us what would have been Phase 4 in the next circle anyway. All of the landmass that was playable before is still playable, with the exception of where MTB currently is, but they're only going to be there for a few more seconds.
TB still looking for an opportunity, though, here. 63 points for them, sat on the cusp at the moment. Where's After Alt? Well, what is your plan?
They're on their way to North Georgia, I think. they remembered. Oh wait, we have Cast and Saki. We should just run back up and get those.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, but there they are. They're going back to North Georgia.
They are actually.
They're closer to their cars in Saki now than they are to the circle.
I'm going to be real. If you get in at North George, come across the bridge and find some of those buildings, that's a damn sight better than beaching it, right?
Like, I mean, there's no means of survival for them if they start going down towards the east. What they can do here is get as close to the bridge as possible and get into South George. Like, find your way into front 6 and then see if you can kind of sneak your way through. But again, they're coming in completely blind to this one.
Yep.
So we'll see what After All can do with this.
Quite fortunate that nobody's in those buildings for them.
Yeah, waiting for a hard shift because there's not going to be any cars for them to take up there.
That is a problem. The fact that, yes, okay, cool, you've made landfall, you've found this spot, but chances are shifting away from you. As we now have FaZe bringing the fight to M-Force, Again, more icing on the cake if they're able to get this win off the back of it with some flashes, making it over the crest of the hill, and easy sprays for Fex.
Yeah, well, you say that, but both James and Gustav falls. Again, when you fight on the top of the mountain, or hillside anyway, most people can see it from the other side. So with the M249 in hand, able to find Fex, and all of a sudden, it's just Corexi left alive. What more do you have in you? Can you find him? The nade comes through to find the knock on one, spots one more on the hilltop, but still left alive.
I don't know what that was in the sky. It looked like a TIE fighter, but anyway, we got ourselves Rafa just trying to deal with Corexi. Corexi, you're on my fantasy team. Get me some more points, mate. That'd be great. But
he's on my fantasy team too, which means he's on 3 of 5 fantasy teams.
That is true, at least. He's a really good player, what can we say? And pulls out the Mosin. Not going to be enough. Corexi blasting him down, looking to recover Fex here at least. And then from there, be able to mosey on.
Yep. Afterall, actually kind of surprised that off of what we just saw before, Afterall has all of South Georgia to himself. I mean, obviously they don't know that, but the more they scout, the more they realize that, wait, there's no one here. Now, the issue for them will be, should this circle go pretty much anywhere but north.
I won't even mind them trying to take Pharmacy eventually when the circle shifts away from them, but even that is a little bit of a mad dash if you don't have cars. So let's see if they do have vehicles, as you were referring to earlier. Syndax, what can he find? Okay, so that's probably where they're going to try and go, because everything else is not great.
Exactly. Faceland, only 2 players left alive, pulled up on by the 4-man strong Twisted Minds. Nate thrown forward, but 2 You know what? When you run out of nades, you might as well just lob your energy drink towards them.
Sarvin taking losses. They're one of the teams that would have to have a big game to try and jump into top 8. It's not going well for them here. And Tropics got themselves 1. As I say, it's not going to be probably enough. But they'll try and make a meal of it regardless. Here, with Sarvin right on top of them. This is going to be a messy fight.
Yeah. Tropic needs kills and then some. They want to have any chance of making...
And nade does damage.
Great finals here. Damage does come through. Second one doesn't find anything. Unfortunately, Lugarux is down, and it's in a building that is really kind of off the angle of... And Caleb naded his teammate.
Oh,
well, they both failed their utility simultaneously.
That was some Benny Hill stuff.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Let's get off this
We ain't
POV.
done yet. We ain't done yet. He's still got a nade. I mean, he could still kill him and Voldemort. You don't know. You just don't know. Speaking of killing Voldemort, Vard able to find one. CC flashed once more. That's going to leave him blind for a little while. Maybe he's not even aware that his teammate's been knocked. I'm not quite sure. He might want to go down and commit to the rest.
Is there anyone up there?
I don't think so. Should we tell him?
No, let's not. Let's keep this going.
Oh, clip this up. Okay, he isn't there.
Yeah.
He isn't there.
Phew.
For a second, I only saw the 3 of them over in the other.
Same.
I was like, wait, I don't even think he's there anymore.
I was really concerned.
So we're not gonna make any jokes about that because that would just make us look stupid. Nailed still got a nade to work with. Got a molly as well. This time around, it doesn't bounce into their own building. No, it goes the other way. Vard again doing damage to Voldemort as he falls the second time around, and now the dual barrel shotgun put into use.
How does Vard find these angles? But it might not have to find any more here as Naileup gonna come around this corner.
Ivas just flashbanged. Oh no, they're losing because of it too. Ivas just flashbanged Naileup, and Naileup flashbanged QB upstairs.
Yeah. It's been a disaster this fight.
They double team flashed at the same time.
Comes around the corner, got a shotgun, should finish this. There we go. Well, it's a good job that they finished this because this was all over the place.
It's a fight that I don't think either of these two teams will want to write home about that.
Yeah,
In the meantime, circle shifting down towards the south. 3 compounds in play, 3 positions you can play. Ascent has one of them. Now trying to find their way up this leaderboard. Look at the tie. 64, 63, 63. This is so damn close to coming.
BBL still has a shot as well if they go big off this, but Vard and Question Mark are going to have a big conflict going off of this. A doozy has fallen, but Question Mark is still putting in the boot. What can they do here? So much utility being used to try and dislodge this. This is such a hectic fight once again.
They can't.
They climbed up it.
Building. They're running up to the second floor. There are like 9 cars parked on the south side of this compound, and MTB are doing everything they can to stay alive here. But Dante, with the nade, trying to disallow for MTB to qualify. But there you have it. The one kill comes through. The tiebreaker for them, and after all, is going to, for now, put them into top 8, but the game is still far from over. Keep your eyes on the scoreboard on the left-hand side and look for the 8th place spot, because that is going to be the cutoff of who makes it through.
I don't know how MTB what is going on? I don't know how MTB gets out of this. This is like the Erangel equivalent of Junkyard. This is ridiculous. How has this happened? And now MTB's under so much pressure. I don't know how you get out of this as MTB.
You can't. It's like the building is literally isolated by cars.
What is the angle?
On a swivel fights the flush while set up there, bubbling all the way around. In the meantime,
is going down.
BBL taking the fight to After All, denying their crossover. If they don't find at least one more point here, After All will be done for. We're one team away from placement points as well.
Oh, no.
Team to outlive. Ian, and can you do it? You have been the player, the mention-worthy one in clutch moments to do for After All what's needed to be done. You need to outlive at least one more team. The knock comes through, but they fall. After All falls. And that is going to be it. Unless if the flush comes through onto Rustenmar, but there's no way that's going to happen.
From controversial to disaster for After All here in day number 2.
11th instantly.
That is rough, but now our attention turns to still MTB, still BBL, still Ascend here, and MTB has got everything to play for. It's only Nail Cup left alive. He's trying to push. He's trying to push Metabag up the stairs. Get up there. We need you up.
BBL, Ascend, MTB, all 3 teams fighting for what effectively is 1, potentially 2 spots, but with Twisted Minds still alive and a good position to play from. There should be no way they've really kind of zero out on this. So 3 teams fighting for the 8th place spot with just 1 point in between them.
This is ridiculous. What a finish here to the 2 days for the upper bracket. As for Question Mark, they're done. All they have to do is really put the nail in the coffin of MTB. I almost spots him with the head there just above the stairs. Dante's still in here. Nail Cop has shotguns in hand. If Question Mark comes along and tries to breach that, I mean, they don't feel like they need to. That's the thing. They can just hold for a while, but that means that other teams like BBL, like Ascend, still have more time to go out, bow out in this game.
Yep. Nailquap wanting to use utility to just give them some more time to play. That's the issue. They have to circle. They should be able to sit tight, but there are so many opponents around them, and they just do not want to move. If it was up to them, Question Mark just ran out, died, and allowed them to just sit in the compound and wait this one out. They have the circle. All they need to do right now is stay alive.
Yeah. For MTB, this is absolutely nail-biting. I mean, BBL has got to come in. They're going to get into cars and try and crash somewhere. They might try and crash Ascend's location, which would be ridiculous, but exciting all the same. They're going to go across circle. Where is BBL going?
Them. 3 and 4, no. 4 in a car. They're pulling up in the compound.
Oh my god, they're joining this fight. They're joining this fight.
If they saw the knock, smash. If they saw the knock in the kill feed on Entropic, that would be what allowed for them to pull up on this one. Clip, trying to smoke off. They are not aware that there are 4 teams in this compound already.
How is this a thing? How have they, of all the locations for them to go to, now they join the absolute carnage that is going down. MTB is still in there. They're trying to get them out. Mustamar as well, looking for angles through the windows, looking for any points they can get. Nail Cobb with a molly onto Phil first.
Also find the first one, but still more players from Question Mark to deal with. He can't get the flush. Does he dare to commit for it? No, and I don't fall. Not wanting to go for it. Look at this. Twisted Minds on the other side. DMR's galore, waiting for someone to peek out on the balcony. Dante want to go for the rest. Tries to get it. I mean, I guess the good thing in all these vehicles being here, there's plenty of cover once you can get it. Molly, though, spreading, not allowing for them to peek on out, and I don't think they have any reason to try and go for anything aggressive across the open fields here.
There is 2 sides of this game. There's this absolute carnage, and then there's Ascend on the other side, absolute crickets, nothing going on. They are chilling right now.
Waiting it out.
And this is just going to continue on because they're still in the circle. They don't have to move just yet. Foot even is just having a heyday. They're in first place, guaranteed basically, unless question mark can keep getting some in this area.
The thing is, James, 7 seconds to go, new circle pops. What if
it's going to come here?
Forced to go west. What if they're called?
Yeah.
Right now they can kind of live together. As I say that, not that they really
have to move it.
Clip falls down, shotgun in hand. You don't want to push that. At least not blind. The Ivers is going to be flush. Entropic out of this one. Down in the lower bracket they go. They weren't really going to be able to make it anyway, but now it's a close one. And this one is as good as it can be. No one's inside.
Importantly,
3 players out of 20 inside the next circle.
Yeah, importantly, Smash got one off that, so it bumps them up a little bit.
Yeah.
Really important that they managed to get him up after the slight mishap on the outside with the run over. Phil first and Dante still looking to put the nail in here. Like this stalemate will continue for just a little bit longer. The thing is that once this is out of circle, I guess they'll just transition towards that one that is in circle.
Yeah, I mean, sit over there and let everyone else fight one another. I don't even think question mark at this point is fully aware of what's going on this. Actually get the angle, spots one. Can't quite find it though. And for MTB, I mean, for MTB, BBL, and Ascent right now, again, question mark and Foot Esports and Twisted Minds really as well are just kind of battle passes that they have to deal with while trying to fight one another.
Foot might be important points here if the other teams can actually bring them down. They're going for the transition, but actually it's Twisted Minds that gets a lot of that, and that will be taking points away from the potential of BBL, MTB, and Ascend trying to find themselves 8th place. MTB with massive grenades jumps them up into 8th place.